We do apologize for the technical problem. Sometimes it happens, so we have to anticipate any problem arise. Excellency, our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Now we would like to invite to the podium for welcoming speech His Excellency Professor Dr. Didi Sukyadi MA as Vice Rector for Education and Student Affairs Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. Time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Innal hamdalillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawalah. Rabbi shrahli sadri wa yassirli amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa salim. Yang saya hormati di Pak Dekan, Profesor Dr. Rudi Susilana MSI, senior saya, Ibu Dr. Yogi Anggiena MSI, Kepala Pusat Kurikulum dan Pembelajaran. Yang saya hormati Prof. Dinn Wahyudin, Ketua Hipkim, the Honorable Professor Eero Ropo of the Tampere University, Finland. Also Dr. Indriyani Rachman MA of Kitakyushu University. Professor or Doctor Rachman, my colleague, my junior, you must be a professor at this time. And also Ibu Dr. Ainida MPD, Hipkin Makassar. Ibu Dr. Liriske Salamor MPD, Hipkin Ambon. Bapak Dr. Lukman MPD, Hipkin Lombok, and also Professor Dr. H. Fauzan MA, Hipkin Jakarta. First of all, I would like to thank the Dean, Professor Dr. Rudi Susilana, who has made this event possible, because without his direction and guidance, I believe that this event will not be possible. I would like also to thank the organizing committee and also the head of the department, Ibu Laksmi, Pak Mario, and other organizing committee who have already worked hard to make this international conference possible. I would like also to thank the distinguished speakers coming from many different places of the world that I have mentioned before, and I believe that this event will not be possible without close and intimate collaboration between the three parties. The first one, I would like to thank Pak Yogi, who has already funded all of these activities from zero to all. Yeah. So Pak Dekan, Pak Rudi does not need to spend a penny, yeah, because all the money comes from Puskur. Yeah. So thank you, Pak. UPI is happy if all activities is funded like this. Yeah. And also I would like to thank Hipkin HIPKIN is a very respected national organization in curriculum development. So this conference is actually an annual conference which is now organized by Indonesia University of Education. And I would like also to thank the HIPKIN, Puskurjar, and also our faculty of education. And I would like also to welcome all participants coming from many different places. I know some from Ambon, from Jakarta, also Pak Lukman from Lombok, and others. Welcome to Bandung, welcome to Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, welcome to the flower city of Bandung. I do hope that while staying at this hotel, you can also explore Bandung, not only staying at the hotel. We have so many places to visit in Bandung. You can go to good restaurants. You can try and enjoy delicious food of Bandung, whether it is about bakeries, whether it is about cookeries. We have here Ibu Yulia, who is very good at making cakes, yeah, from the Department of Food and Beverages of our university. And I encourage also that you could enjoy the culture of Bandung. You can go to Saung Ujo, you can go to many other places, including the Batik of West Java. I do hope also that you can visit the beauty of Bandung area and the surrounding of Bandung. You can go to Ciater, you can go to Tangkuban Perahu, you can go to Kawah Putih, or about history, you can go to the Asia Africa Museum in Bandung. And I know that this the theme of the 5th International Conference on Education and Regional Development is Reimaging Education for Greener Tomorrow, Curriculum Innovation and Strategies. This theme is very, very interesting, very important, and also very timely. I will highlight the word greener. Green is related to how much carbon that we produce in our daily life. If we can do our activities in our daily lives with low carbon, actually we have already contributed to the decrease of carbon emission in this universe. Why? Because carbon emission to the sky will contribute to what we call greenhouse effect. And one of the contributor of carbon is methane gas, which is produced by the waste that we produce from our home. This is from what we call organic waste from our kitchen. And our provincial government of West Java has already informed us that the waste from our kitchen is produced not only by those with high income, but also those with low income. So all of us are the producer of waste. And the waste will be thrown away through what we call open dumping system in Sarimukti, Cipatat. And the open dumping system, around 3 to 40% is waste from home, from our kitchen. And the waste will produce what we call methane gas. And the methane gas will contribute to the carbon emission. So now we see that the climate is already changing. Our city, Bandung, is now getting warmer and warmer. when I first came to Bandung in 1988, I stayed in Cilimus over there, and I got flu for the first time for 1 week. Why? Because Bandung at the time was cooler than now. I come from Majalengka, which is warmer than Bandung. And at the first time, I took a bath only maybe, once in 2 days at the time. Yeah, but later on, my body could adjust. And but now we see that when I came first to IKIP Bandung at the time, no air conditioner in IKIP Bandung buildings at the time. But now we see so many air conditioners, including air conditioner in parterre building. So it indicates that climate is changing. So I urge that I hope that all of us can contribute to this problem. So try to reduce waste, especially from our kitchen. I myself now separate plastic waste and also organic waste in such a way that the organic waste can be changed into compost. So composting is a problem in our situation. So I cannot rely this to all of the members of my family, so I do it by myself. So using the system, the space that I still have in my surrounding. So when I see the theme, so this issue can be included into our curriculum. When I did my master's program, we have what we call language across curriculum. But now we can include, for example, green or carbon emission or climate change across curriculum. When we talk about, when we teach, for example, language, we may include the issue of climate change. When we teach, for example, mathematics, and then we can also talk about climate change. It is also the same as other issues that we have in our life, whether it is the issue of soft skill, whether the issue of moral values, something like that. But the issue of climate change is very, very pressing, very, very important to address for us. So thank you to the organizing committee, thank you to Pak Yogi, thank you to all the contributors and participants of this international conference. Also thank you to the distinguished expert speakers, whether from our country or from other universities, who have joined this very important effort. By reciting Basmalah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I declare that the 5th International Conference on Education and Regional Development is officially open. Thank you. Mohon maaf atas segala kekurangan. Karena tadi MC-nya senior saya, Bu Evi, yang sebentar lagi mau jadi guru besar ya, membukanya dalam bahasa Inggris, jadi mohon maaf pakai bahasa Inggris. Jadi tapi kalau mohon maafnya pakai bahasa Indonesia saja lah. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hatur nuhun, Prof. Thank you for Prof. Dr. Didi Sukyadi, MA, for the welcoming speech. Excellencies, our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we would like also to welcome Professor Eero Ropo from Tampere University, Finlandia, who have joined on the Zoom. Already joined in the Zoom. Hello. There is no pictures. Okay. So without further ado, we would like to invite Dr. Yogi Anggraina, MSc, to give the welcoming speech. Hi, Prof. Eero. Good afternoon. Good morning. Is it good morning over there?
Selamat pagi, it's morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, thank you. Thank you for joining Beras. Okay, Dr. Yogi, please.
Baik, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, the Honorable Prof. Dr. Didi Sukyadi, MA, Vice Rector of Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, Prof. Dr. Rudi Susilana, Dean of Faculty of Education, Prof. Dinn Wahyudin, Chair of HIPKINS, Dr. Laksmi Dewi, Head of the Organizing Committee, another speaker from Eero Ropo from Tampere University, Finland, Dr. Indriyani Rachman from University of Kitakyushu, Jepang, Dr. Rachman M. Hipkin Lombok, Prof. Dr. Pazan, Hipkin Jakarta, Dr. Lisa Salamar, Hipkin Ambon, Dr. Arnida, MPD, Hipkin Makassar, Dr. Professor Rachman, and Dr. Cepi Riana. Thank you for coming in this conference. Welcome in the FIUP's International Conference on Education and the Regional Development of our research. It's a great honor to stand before you today, with STEM Reimaging Education for a Greener Tomorrow, Curriculum, Innovation, and Strategies, thoroughly respect to urgency of addressing employment, sustainability, and role of education must play in fostering a better future for generations to come. This outcome in this conference will insights, research, and decision will provide for input for ongoing process for development curriculum in in learning and development. We have idea generator will shape guiding principles for curriculum, not only promote academic excellence, but only also impress importance in the ideas, collaboration, and education will be emerged from your contribution. Thank you for our participation, for joining in this conference. Thank you for all, and Professor, student, and everyone for this seminar. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Yogi Anggraina, from the head of Curriculum and Learning Center. Ladies and gentlemen, now we will move to the agenda of MOU signing agenda. The first one, the cooperation agreement between Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, Puskurjar, and HIPKIN. Please, the representative from Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia come forward. The Dean and also the Vice Rector come forward. Accompany from Puskurjar, Bapak Dr. Yogi. From HIPKIN, represented by Dr. Rachman. Accompany. For the second, the implementation of agreement. The first is the cooperation agreement. The second one, the implementation of agreement between Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, Puskurjar, and HIPKIN. And now we are going to photo session, everyone. Would you let them hold the signature, please? Boleh diberikan untuk sesi foto? Oke, silakan difoto terlebih dahulu. Please still stay over there. Mohon masih di sana. For the third MOU, now the cooperation agreement between Universitas Muhammadiyah Mataram, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, and HIPKIN. Bapak Prof, silahkan Pak. Silahkan masih menunggu di depan. Semua masih bersama-sama. Itu tanda tangan. Okay, now the photo session. Sudah semua, Pak? Okay. Okay. Photo session. Yeah. Thank you very much. In this very good occasion, there is a token of appreciation, ada kenang-kenangan cenderamata dari Universitas Muhammadiyah Mataram untuk disampaikan ke Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia kepada Bapak Rektor. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big applause. Okay, and the next. Your book, okay? Is it for the Dinn, Bapak Dekan, kepada Pak Rudi? Alhamdulillah. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big, another big applause. Thank you very much. Terima kasih banyak, Bapak dan Ibu. Dipersilakan untuk duduk kembali. Terima kasih banyak. We would like also to welcome our speaker, Ibu Nur Rofika Ayu Shinta Amalia from Puskur, already here in the ballroom. Now we are going to move to the plenary session, the keynote speaker session. One from Tampere University and Puskurjar. We would like to invite our great moderator, Dr. Iip Ihsanuddin MA. Please come on the stage. Yes, at the front. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you Pak Warek, Prof. Didi, thank you very much. Thank you, Prof. Rudy. Thank you. Let's give applause for all of them. Our famous moderator, Dr. Iip Ihsanuddin, SSMA. He is famous, yeah, famous person, and has professional achievement, among other, program designer for Vocational Education Development Center for Agriculture, facilitator and trainer professional English for teachers and principal. If I read them all, you will stay here until at night. So let me pick some of them. He is also a national curriculum developers, Indonesia delegation for the Conference of Transformation in Education 2023 in Bangkok, Thailand, Indonesian delegation for Joint Working Group in Curriculum Development between Indonesia and French in 2023 in French. His skill, curriculum development, assessment and evaluation, curriculum development expertise in design and development, and so on and so forth, because there are so many. Okay. His work history, teacher upgrading competency program designer in FEDCA, English assessor for competence. 1 minute.
I think you better skip it, madam.
Don't worry, I'll
That's
skip it.
too much.
Yeah, I know. And for the education, he got his doctor in curriculum development from UPI, Master of Arts, Culture, Pedagogy and Assessment in University of London, United Kingdom, and then for undergraduate in Universitas Pajajaran. Okay, for community services and organization, he is also Student Muslim Union, the University of London as Vice President. Let's give applause for Dr. Iip. Time is yours.
All right, thank you so much indeed. Should I sit down or can I move? All right. Thank you so much indeed for the introduction. The audiences, all the things that might be presented from the earlier moderator supposed to be very light. But somehow, yeah, here is me, and then it is my honor to be here. Supposed to be my very honor to be here. Well, good day or good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
All right. When I say where we are, please answer clearly by saying I, sir. All right? Where we are.
I serve.
And where are we?
I serve.
I, sir, as well. All right. Distinguished speakers, particularly we have Mr. Professor Eero Ropo, and as well as the distinguished speakers from Puskurjar, Mrs. Rofika, Shinta, other guests and all participants, welcome to today's international seminar. First of all, let us express our gratitude to Allah the Almighty for giving us the time, for giving us the chance to be gathered here today, whether in person or virtually, right? Because I do believe that someone out there joining this session virtually. It is a pleasure to have you at all this 5th International Conference on Education and Regional Development, the ICED. We are going to have the Reimaging Education for Agreement tomorrow, Curriculum Innovation and Strategies. This is going to be a good part and a good insight for us. Not merely about textual, documented curriculum, but see the other perspective of curriculum that is inside coming up into our mind. That curriculum is the architect for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, the audiences,
I am Ihsanuddin. I'm here for being to accompany you as a moderator. Like to tell you about who is organized this event. The event is organized by Pusat Kurikulum dan Pembelajaran or Puskurjar, the Center of Curriculum and Learning, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research and Technology, in collaboration with Fakultas Ilmu Pendidikan, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia and the Education University, and as well as HIPKIN. And we are here to, what do you call it? To foster the discussion. Yeah, it is better to use the word foster discussion in dealing with green curriculum implementation practically. So this is about the time. I think without noticing another situation, before we begin, allow me to remind you for everyone to manage your personal gadget, yeah? Whether it is you are going to switch it up or keep it silent. And for the virtual participant, please mute your microphones and turn off your camera during the presentation. You can deliver your own questions as well after the presentation. For now, please mind to use your jotting down technique, providing on your paper, and then deliver it after the presentations done by the keynote speaker. Now, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Professor Eero Ropo. Apologize if I mispronounce your name, Professor. Apologize me if I mispronounce your name. Eero Ropo. He is a professor in education, specializing in particularly on learning research and teacher education, and an expert in educational psychology, as well as curriculum studies, technology in education, and teacher education from the University of Tampere, Finland. He has conducted extensive research on no-ID research project, collaborative constructions of knowledge and identities in school and teacher education, and have published important works in education science. You see, the participants, sort of his record dealing with the research, dealing with the education, dealing with the teaching technology. Well, this is my proud to introduce the professor. Without further ado, please welcome Professor Eero Ropo to deliver his presentation titled Education for Sustainable Future, Narrative Perspective on Curriculum and Identities. Professor, the presentation will last for approximately 20 minutes, enough? I think you can manage the time, yeah. Yeah, Professor, the floor, as well as the stage, as well as the screen is yours. Please, another applause for Professor Ropo. You still mute your speaker, Prof. We can't hear you. Check.
Okay.
All right.
I had some problems in hearing your voice earlier, but hopefully this will work. I'm going to talk to you today about some ideas of developing curriculum, and I'm really honored to be here with you in this conference. I remember my first visit to Bandung. It was 10 years ago, and ever since we have been cooperating in different projects with UPI and lately developing some ideas for climate change education, for teacher education. So it's my honor to be here with you and share the ideas and continue this collaboration. Thank you for invitation to be here. I will share my presentation.
Yeah. Can you share it? All right.
My topic today is education for sustainable future and some ideas about narrative perspective on curriculum and identities. This is short summary of what we have been doing in the projects with UPI and some extension of the ideas of those both theoretical and practical ideas for curriculum and curriculum strategies. This is a picture of our campus in Tampere. The university campus is in front of the picture here. Tampere is a city of 250,000 people. Most people are living in this center area. And then some pictures of the campus of the university. So my abstract, my intention today is to introduce you to some of the ideas, theoretical ideas about narrativity and identity reconstruction related to curriculum and curriculum strategies. And I'm then presenting a model which is a draft, but hopefully will create some ideas for you to develop curriculum and education in general for sustainable future. First of all, narrative turning social sciences. It's not very old theory and old theoretical idea. Narrativity in general took place after the Second World War in the 1950s and 60s. In the social sciences, this term began in the 1970s. And then later on in the 80s, it also was adopted in educational thinking and educational theory making. Nowadays, we can say that we understand much better the memory and storytelling of people, and also how we construct knowledge. Narratives and stories are in the center of that process. Somehow, the first very important reference for me has been this Barthes and Duisit quote from 1975, in which they say that there are countless forms of narratives in the world, and these narratives are taking form of language, oral or written, pictures, movies, gestures. Narrative is present in myth, legend, fables, tales, different kind of stories and histories, and also in very much in arts and news, and also in conversation, everyday conversation. We use narratives to think about different phenomena. Also historically, I think we have a lot lot of literature that is based on narratives and stories. In educational field, there are increasing number of studies that are related to narrativity and how it enhances understanding of complexity of complex phenomena, how narratives are fundamental in cultural practice and cultural histories. And somehow these narratives are not just stories, but we can also see them as kind of narrative templates that are inherited and transferred in education to young generations. And that's why family histories are very prominent, or national histories are also very prominent. Somehow these narrative templates collect our common memory, or the memory of the nation, memory of the family, and these narratives are then transferred to next generation, who use them to fill information and knowledge, and make interpretations of those templates and information that has been stored in those narratives. In education, narrativity is based very much on Jeremy Bruner's theorizing in the 80s. He categorized knowledge to paradigmatic and narrative parts, and narrative is kind of knowledge that has template of time and place and context, whereas paradigmatic knowledge is something which is true or not true. It is scientific knowledge that has no place or time in our memory. Although in everyday life narratives are very common way to express knowledge, in education theorizing this way is a pretty new movement. I can recognize that during the last 25-30 years we have been talking about narratives, but not earlier than that. And in a way, in my own publications, I have been talking about narrativity of instruction and narrativity of curricula, analyzing national curricula like Indonesian curricula and Finnish curricula in terms of meta-narratives that are presented in those, and then also into the micro-level narratives, which are subject-based narratives. However, traditionally curriculum have been and currently are expressed in a way of knowledge, skills, and values. This is an old way of expressing how we define the goals and aims in the narratives. The so-called Tyler rationale from 1949 is very much like this, but it comes from the early years of last century. Competencies are very much emphasized in this Finnish curricula. This kind of competence-based thinking is helping us to define what we want to achieve in education, but it is not enough for education, for educating young people to grow as citizens of their nation and the global community. That's why this narrative idea, and which is also based on the thinking who we are and what is going on in the world, is very much needed. And at least in Finnish context, we express the curriculum in terms of competence, but then in instruction and teaching, we emphasize very much the character education and personality and identity issues that are important to become a human being. So this contextual basis of education and curriculum is also very much needed, and this narrative approach emphasizes this time and place and context of the people where they are living and where they come from. To me, narrativity is also very much related to the identity. So, who am I and who are we are narratives that are somehow constructed and created and recreated in the context and history. Narrativity is an ontological theory and perspective. Very important quote from my colleague Hanna Meretoja, who is a literature professor in Finland, talking about the narrative turn in fiction and theory. She emphasized that narratives seem to be very complex existential relevance for our being in the world. So narrative is important to understand who I am. And also, like teachers, we as teachers, we have also understanding who are we as teachers. So this kind of professional identity is based on stories or narrative. So ontological and existential point of view is important in the narrative theorizing. And also this knowledge creation, epistemology, is also a narrative process. I understand it as a process in which we interpret the reality, create meanings of our perceptions, and then connect those meanings into a story. And that makes a narrative which has a plot, an idea. It has a timeline, history, present, future, and somehow we make our life experiences meaningful with the narratives that we do. And it relates also to understanding sciences, understanding different subject matters. We have to have some kind of narrative to understand what are different physical phenomena, gravity, climate change, whatever they are. We have to have a narrative of those, and this is the way I'm thinking also in curriculum and instruction. When thinking about identities, I have recognized that there are different levels of identities. The first level is the kind of personal identity, personal story. What is my autobiographical basis being a human being? Who am I as a person? Then I join in different communities. I'm a member of different communities, and then we have a kind of a community social narrative. And then third level is this cultural narrative. Where do I come from? Where do we come from? Who are the Finns? Who are the Russians? Who are the Swedes? Our neighbors. We have a lot of this kind of cultural contextual things that make up our cultural narratives. It is related to national background, language, religion, and such things. And then finally, maybe the most abstract identity is this being a global citizen. So we have a common globe, we have to save it, we have to preserve it, we have to do things to keep this globe alive. So these narratives are always constructed and reconstructed, and we have introduced a quite interesting concept, narrative space, in an article with my doctoral student from Aceh, Satya Chen, who defended her dissertation 2 years ago. This narrative space is kind of a space that we create in the instructional settings, and which brings the elements of the story into the reality of the students and teachers, and then through reflection and discourses, we use those elements to construct the narratives. And of course, there's this narrative template concept available for thinking what the narratives are. But you can maybe later read this open access article if you are interested in more details. Then another very important concept for me is this positioning. How we position ourselves in the stories that we are telling and that we are adopting. Positioning means that I may be a subject or object in the story. I may be an active person or passive person in terms of the narrative. If I have an active role in my narrative about climate change, for instance, I do a lot of actions to prevent climate change to happen. I do in my local context, I do maybe in communities, talking about that and trying to develop rules and lifestyles that prevent climate change. I may be active politically, positioning myself as an active person. So stories are not enough to understand people, but this positioning is very important also. How people position themselves in the stories. Do I care or do I not care? When we are thinking about kind of ways of understanding climate change, Stickney and Skilbeck have classified 4 different approaches. And I'm considering these as kind of narrative templates positioning to climate change. And the first one that they mention is that climate change is a crisis. So it is really critical to tell us, if you use this approach, then you are telling that, okay, climate change is a crisis, and we have to urge people to do things to avoid this crisis or its consequences. Second approach or template expresses climate change kind of as a result of human beings, what we have been doing and what we have not been doing. So this perspective is very much anthropocenic perspective, that we are guilty. We have produced this phenomenon with our own doings and things that we have been done. Then third approach relates very much to this activism and agency, that we invite students to be and people to be proactive and do something, and do actively something, being not passive but active in preventing the consequences of climate change. And then fourth approach in this general level is kind of decolonizing intersectional approach, kind of indigenous perspective. So maybe thinking that how people have lived in the past, how they have survived in relation to nature. This kind of approach we have used also with the project in the project with UPI, when we tried to find out local customs and local narratives of people living in different regions, for instance, in Aceh or Indonesia, and also in Finland. We have an indigenous group of people, Sami people, who have reindeers, and they have lived with the reindeers in the northern part of Finland for thousands of years. They have certain customs that are really helpful in understanding how people and nature get together well. So I consider this kind of examples narratives, and of course in the curriculum we can present climate change and sustainable development in different ways, and it is not a question of what is pure knowledge or what is scientific knowledge about climate change and its reasons and factors affecting it, but it is how we present it in a story form for students. For this presentation and for this problem, I have been designing. I tried to design a kind of a template or table in which I introduce these ideas in terms of actions, in terms of things to be included into the curricula, and in the left side we have different identity levels, individual perspective, community perspective, national perspective, and global perspective, who we are. And then, this narrative template and focus of attention also differs from own life, local context, to local context, national context, and global context. And then, of course, we have to offer. Teaching is also offering these positions which would be helpful for students to adjust into the narrative. What is my role in the narrative? What is my positioning in the narrative? So, individual level, I think this individual responsibility to promote sustainable development is important. So we offer this active role, a responsible role for students to be promoting sustainable development. In the community level, also community responsibility. National level, this is also kind of political activism for being responsible for sustainable development. And then global level, we also think about the same problem from global responsibility perspective. And then I think these actions offered and ways of acting should be also included in curricula. So in individual level, I think it's important to know the historical and local narratives of actions former generations have that they have developed for sustainability. Fishermen in Sumatra Island have certain regulations that they have generated during the years, hundreds of years, to preserve the sea and fish. In community level, it's also same kind of thing, that we have to have rules and common actions and activities to promote sustainable development. And policies and legislation in the national level and global level also. I was watching TV yesterday, and there was a Finnish politician talking about democracy and parliamentarism and how it works in the current time. And she was very pessimistic that parliamentary system and democratic system was developed during the industrial age, but it doesn't work anymore well to regulate, for instance, climate change and sustainable development. And the crisis that we are seeing in the world right now, there are wars and there are different very difficult problems. And for instance, United Nations is not very powerful in solving those problems. And also in national level, parliaments and legislation are working, but not that well, because the power, I think, is spread into different directions: industry, business, and also to different groups of people who sometimes resist those positive actions to prevent climate change, for instance. So we have a lot of things to also consider in the society level and global level, how we work more effectively. And then, of course, this is the the last column, knowledge to be taught and learned. I'm not ignoring any of the scientific basis and research-based knowledge to be included into school curricula and different curricula. I'm emphasizing that it should be included, but it's not enough to just offer raw data, raw results, but to create different narratives out of that and offer those to students so that they understand first partially, but then little by little they increase their knowledge base and the narratives become more perfect in scientific respect, so that the narratives that they have explains better the phenomena that we are observing and seeing. There's also a place for competencies and knowledge and values and actions, but in this case I'm offering a model which somehow describes the overall design of curriculum in different ways than just mentioning the competencies and pieces of knowledge to be learned. My last point is how is this going to work? What should we do? I think it's still very important to have this kind of conferences that we are now attending. We need to create new ideas for curriculum and education, and I'm really looking forward to seeing different proposals, different propositions, how this can be done, and then little by little through discussion and discourses we all learn better how it should be done. So education is not only about knowledge, but it is very much existential ontological processing. I think it's very important that we keep this idea of identities also in the focus of education. It's not only performing well in the exams, but it is growing to become a person, who has a strong identity in different levels, knowing who I am, who we are, what is our nation, culture, what is the globe. So this kind of transformation is the key process, I think, in the learning, that we change our conceptions, we reconstruct and reposition ourselves in terms of knowledge and our own role as active person. And teacher education, I think, is a very good way to pilot this kind of existential and ontological transformation. Student teachers, when they enter university, they first have a role of being students in high school, and little by little they have to change the position, and also kind of identity change, ontological change, from student to professional teacher, being responsible for other people's learning and other people's understanding of the world and themselves. I'm optimistic, but of course I have to admit that we still are in taking first steps in understanding better this kind of big ideas, and so I urge us all to continue the discourses. And I have some references also here. So thank you very much, terima kasih for your attention, and I wish you all very great day in this conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Eero Ropo. So much insightful presentation that has already delivered by the professor. But please, Professor, kindly to stay there to listen for another speaker. We still have the second speaker. Moving on to our second speaker, we have, what do we call it? The youngest speaker in this event, maybe. Yeah, the youngest speaker in this event, who is in charge for curriculum development in Puskurja, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research and Technology. Please welcome Mrs. Nur Rofika Ayu Shinta Amalia. She's going to present the presentation entitled of Collaborating for Climate Change Education within the Curriculum Merdeka. Mrs. Nur Rofika Shinta, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Pak Iip. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer of this event to allow me to present the policy of our ministry about the climate change education. Okay. Okay, so we have launched a new policy about climate change education through our guidelines book about how to integrate the climate change education in schools on 27th of August last month. And in today's occasion, I would like to share what's the background of this policy and how we can integrate this policy into our schools. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so here is the objective of our curriculum now, Kurikulum Merdeka. Based on the philosophy of Ki Hajar Dewantara, every person stands as a free individual, capable of governing or controlling themselves, and this is the broad objective of education. Okay. Yeah, and the philosophy of this curriculum is centered around developing the individuals that are self-reliant and capable of standing on their own strength. And this one also related with responsive to the socio-economic, political, and cultural change. One of it is climate change. And this year, our ministry prioritized some of issues. There are 3 issues. The first one is climate change. The second one is financial literacy. And the last one is about the health. Today, I will share about the climate change education. In developing this climate change education, we have a framework that consists of 4 elements. The first one is impacts, second one is causes, adaptation, and mitigation. For the impacts, we want to build the awareness of the climate crisis situation that affects the children's life. As we know, and we can feel in our everyday life, the climate is changing, and it is not only the climate change, but it turns to be climate crisis right now. So we need the students to understand how the climate crisis situation impacts on their lives. And the second one is the causes. We want the students to also understand how the human activities around them led to an increase in the average surface temperature of the Earth beyond the natural patterns. The World Meteorological Organizations each year reported the average temperature of the Earth, and it keeps increasing year by year. And it affected by the human activities, both done by the students and also all human activities. We want the students to understand holistically what causes the increases of the temperature. And the next one is adaptation and mitigation. These two elements is relevant to each other, cannot be separated. What's in it? Adaptation. Some of it also in mitigation. The differences between the adaptation and mitigation is the adaptation is more to build resilience against the various impacts of the climate change. And the mitigation is how to prevent climate change become worse and to restore the climate conditions as much as possible. We can do both the adaptation and mitigation through the technological solutions, cultural and local wisdom, and also the nature-based solutions. For the mitigation itself, we can do it by emission reduction and also greenhouse gas absorptions from the atmosphere. The framework we adapted from the climate change education and curriculum revisions by the World Bank. So this framework is developed by the World Bank. We adapted the framework and use it as the development of the competencies mapping for our students. We developed the competencies starting from the foundation phase or the early year education, the phase A until phase F, from the first grade until 12th grade in the high school. Okay, so this is how we designed the approach to the climate change education. We have this holistic approach to climate change education. The first one is relevant, how to make it relevant to the students' life. And before we make it relevant to the students, we must make it relevant to the teacher first, because the teacher is the one who will teach the students what is climate change and how it affects our life and what will happen if we ignore the climate issues itself. We make it relevant by providing global understanding, but also applied according to the unique context of the climate crisis in the educational unit or area. So we make it more relevant. For example, if the school is on the agricultural areas, so we identify the issues that are relevant with the agriculture. But if the school is located on the on the small island, so we must identify the issues that are relevant with how climate crisis impacts the people on the small island, like the sea level rises and the other issues. The second one is the effective. So not only the cognitive, but also effective is important to integrate the climate change education. So we want to inspire the students to take active roles by appealing to their emotions, fostering empathy, and building values and ethical responsibilities. So not only they have a good understanding about the climate change education, but also building empathy so they can sustainable doing this good action related with the climate change. And the third one is knowledge-based. We use not only scientific data, but also technological information, local wisdom, and the insights from surrounding environment. So we are not only depending on the scientific data only, but we also use the other sources, such as local wisdom. Local wisdom is very important in doing the climate action, especially in Indonesia. We have a lot of local wisdom that can be a good use to doing the climate action. And the next one is action-oriented. So we focus on real action to solve the climate crisis, the challenges in the educational unit environment. So we are not stopping at the understanding the climate crisis, but we are moving to the real action, how to address these climate crisis issues. And the last one is holistic. So we can integrate this climate change education across the various subjects, not only in the subjects or intracurricular, but we also integrate it to the co-curricular activities and extracurricular activities and also school culture. Maybe a lot of you know the program from the Ministry of Forestry and Environment. There is Sekolah Adiwiyata. That's one of the catalysts for the school culture in integrating the climate change education in our schools. Okay, the next one. This is the guideline books that we have launched last month. We are using it as the implementation tools to help the teachers, the principals, school principals, and the regional government to implement this climate change education. Actually, before we launch these guideline books, we have already integrated to the learning outcomes, our learning outcomes in several subjects that are relevant to these issues, such as science, geography, biology, and some of the subjects. We have explicitly mentioned the climate change inside our learning outcomes. So the teacher must teach the students the issues that are relevant with this climate change, such as biodiversity also. So even though they haven't read these guideline books, they have implement the climate change education through the learning outcomes in the intracurricular. And inside these guideline books, we appreciate the examples of good practice that are already in place. So this climate change education is not a new thing, actually. We have a long history of environmental education, but this year we want to give more exposure to this climate change education through this book. And it also provides the flexibility for education units to use the existing resources. So we do not hope by introducing this climate change education, the schools must find new resources, allocate a new budget on a specific budget on this one. We push them to use the existing resources first before they find a new one. And this one, it also promotes the climate change education as a collective movement that involves all stakeholders. So this one is not only the teachers are responsible for this climate change education, but also the principals, students, parents, and all the stakeholders around the schools. And the misconception about the climate change education is we are not adding new burdens outside the Merdeka curriculum. So as I mentioned before, we have integrated the climate change education in the learning outcome inside the curriculum Merdeka. So we are not adding new burdens to this one. And it does not rely solely on educators for implementation, but we are hoping the collaboration between the teachers, principals, and the regional government, the parents, and also the NGOs around the school itself. And we do not have separate assessments for this one. Or specific materials to implement them. So the assessment itself become one integrated with the intracurricular or co-curricular. Depends on how the school implement this climate change education in their schools. So we do not have separate assessments. All of it already integrated or included in the learning process. Okay, so these are several parties that over the years developed the guideline books with us from the other ministries, for NGOs, the academic institution, and one of it, UPI also collaborated in this event, and many more. And yeah, as on the previously on Professor Eero's presentation, everyone can contribute in their own unique way. So starting from the students, educators, school leaders, families, local government, and also community organizations, all of them have specific roles in this climate change education. For the examples, students, they can propose and lead the climate actions by themselves, and assisting in school monitoring or mentoring the younger students. For educators, the first action they can do is embedding the climate-related content in their lessons. It could be in the intracurricular or co-curricular, and several activities they can do in the schools. For school leaders, they can provide climate-friendly facilities and programs, and also support the capacity building. The capacity building itself can be for the teachers, for the students, or for all stakeholders in the schools. So based on the survey, the understanding of the climate change in Indonesia is still quite low, is still under 50%. The stakeholders in Indonesia's educations understand the climate change correctly. Based on the report from the UNESCO this year, only 30% of the sample of the survey in Indonesia stated that the climate change affecting their lives. Out of 100%, only not only maybe it doesn't reach 30%, more or less 30% of Indonesians stated that climate change are affecting their lives. So this one is the fourth lowest country from all sample in their studies, in the UNESCO studies. And the next one, the families also have an important role in this one. So they can practicing the climate action at home. In the schools, we can push the student to learn how to, what is climate change, and how we act to mitigate and adapt to this climate crisis. And they can share their experience in schools, to their home, and the families or their parents can support them by practicing the climate actions at home. So these activities can be sustainable and consistent, both in schools and at their homes. The local government also important to provide the resources for climate change educations, and linking with the broader partnership. Relevant with the community organizations by offering the mentorship, sharing the best practices, and also connecting the schools with the wider networks to support them with to upgrade the knowledge, how they can implement it better, and connect it to the wider community. Okay, so this one is for the schools, our educational unit. What is the practical action that they can do to implement this climate change education? The first step is they can start from the local context by the question, what climate challenges are present around my schools? So they can identify what are the challenges that are relevant with the schools. After they can identify what is the problem, what are the challenges, they can connect it with the existing resources that are available in their schools. So the next question is, what existing resources are available at my schools? For example, if their school is on this small island and the challenges are the sea level rising, and the resources that are available in their schools is they have access to plan a mangrove plan. So they can integrate the challenges and the resources that they have. And the next one is they have to identify the suitable methods to integrate in their school culture or on the learning process. They can be intercurricular, co-curricular, or extracurricular. And after they have decided how they will integrate this climate change education in their learning process, they have to develop a comprehensive lesson plan. And the last one is they they doesn't have to do this by themselves, but they can identify the potential partnership with other parties, such as maybe for the environmental authority in the region, or the partners for NGOs and the others. So, and after they identify the potential partnership, they can do the program. But if there is no partners available around their schools, by the resources that they have, they can execute this program by themselves. Masih lama nggak? Okay, so we are moving to the curriculum itself. We divide it by 3 intervention points. The first one is intracurricular, co-curricular, and extracurricular. This one is for the intracurricular. We can use this guidebook to identify the competency outcomes that are appropriate to the phase of the participants. So for the what is appropriate for the students in the grade 1, grade 2, until the grade 12, we have mapped these competencies in our guideline books, and we also insert some of the examples how the teachers can integrate these competencies in their lessons. In the graphic or in the picture on the left side, for example, we have the English on the phase D. We can recognize in the vocabulary related to climate change in English. For example, the greenhouse gases, climate change, deforestation, etc. So it doesn't have to be a science subject or geography, but also we can integrate it to English, Bahasa Indonesia, arts, and the other subject also. And we also guide how the teachers can determine in which subject it can be inserted. Okay, and the second one is for the co-curricular. In this curriculum, or in Kurikulum Merdeka, we have the project-based learning called Project Penguatan Profil Pelajar Pancasila. We have 7 themes for this project. One of it is sustainable lifestyle. So we can integrate this climate change education, implement it to this theme, the sustainable lifestyle theme. We have developed some of the inspiration of this project module. One of it is this one, Kami Pejuang Iklim. It can be used for the phase C, or grade 5 and 6 on elementary level. But the application of this one is not mandatory. But the schools can choose the relevant themes and topics. But we have developed the inspiration, and the schools can directly use the examples that we have developed to their schools. Okay, and this one is the last one, is extracurricular. This climate change education is not only can be integrated through intracurricular or the subjects and co-curricular, but also we can integrate it to the extracurricular activities, such as from the Pramuka. We have the Saka Kalpataru, led by the Ministry of Forestry and Environment. And we have the Gugus Depan Ramah Lingkungan. So the Pramuka itself is very relevant to this climate change educations. And we can also incorporate the climate change education in several extracurricular activities, such as for the Youth Red Cross. We can train the students to handle the health problems due to the climate change effect. And for the youth science group, journalism, and the religious, we can also integrate this climate change education to the several extracurricular activities. But for notes, this application is not mandatory. The schools can organize the extracurricular activities according to their characteristics and the availability of the resources. So they can identify what they have and how they will integrate it. So the extracurricular activities is not mandatory. The mandatory one is the one that are explicitly mentioned on the learning outcomes in the intracurricular only. Okay, so this one is the examples of the best practices that we identify. We can integrate the climate change education through various methods in the curriculum. The most right is in the intracurricular, the vocational high school in Raja Ampat. They have the survey on the coral bleaching in the science subject. So they integrate the climate change education into the science subject by practicing to do a survey on the coral bleach. And for the co-curricular, they implement this sustainable lifestyle theme. And they do a project about the farming at school for food security in Anambas Island. And the last one for the extracurricular, this one is for youth science group. They develop or they have innovation to a flood early warning system. This one is also on vocational high school. So the schools can have several innovations about the climate change education in the intracurricular, co-curricular, or in the extracurricular also. Okay, this is the last one. The climate change education guidebook can be accessed and learn more through the following link. You can access it in our website, curriculum.kemdikbud.go.id. This one available in Bahasa Indonesia, but now we are in the process of translating it to English. So we hope that maybe next month it also can available in English also. Okay, so let's make it happen. The climate change education as a collective movement for today's and future generations. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mbak Shinta, for the encouraging session. Yeah, we were already talking about the narrative, whether it is a text or the narration that will bring up into the process of awareness in the relevant thinking about climate change, which will integrate into the curriculum and the instruction process at school. But maybe for now is the question and answer session. I think Professor Eero, are you still there? Professor, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
All right. Kindly still waiting for the questions from the participants right here. Maybe this is the time for the audience to deliver the questions. I'm going to call the immediate response from the participants in this room. Please kindly raise your hand to give us the sign that you are going to give us the questions. Direct to which the speaker, whether it is Professor Eero or to Mbak Shinta over here. Kindly raise your hand. All right, the guys in front of me and the guys on my left side. Another questions? Ada lagi? Another participants? All right, we have two participants who's going to ask, who's going to give us the questions. And please tell us your name, introduce your name, and kind of questions that you are going to deliver. Yeah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah.
Yes, thank you for the. Actually, I would like to respond on Professor Eero presentations. Actually, it has been very insightful presentations because we have never seen people like academics seeing narratives in such ways. For your information, narratives terms has been in our curriculum, but in a quite different point of view. We see, especially me as an English teacher, see narratives as part of the genre-based approach because in GBA we have narratives, descriptive, procedural, and so on. So it's the first time I noticed that narratives has been that big, like to the point that it can be some kind of how we think to a certain level is amazing because as we can see the narratives that is being brought by Professor Eero is, it has 4 levels, right? It is, the first level is who I am as the entity and as our own identity. The second one is who I am in regards to the social. The third one is who I am in regards to the culture, which is quite interesting because when you talk about culture, you exemplify with some, for example, ethnicities. But here in Indonesia, since religion is part of the culture, if we try to adopt that framework into our culture, it will be much related to religion. So who are we in relations to our religions? And the fourth one, who are we or who am I in relations to the global or the globe? So the first thing that I'm trying to say is, it is the first time I experienced this new framework, how to see narratives templates, which is interesting because the word template itself is not seen as the framework that you are trying to propose. So that's the first time that I want to express. Thank you for giving us, or giving me at least, new framework of that. So the second thing that I would like to ask is that a framework, does it derive from Finland's educational system, or is it specific to Finland education system, or is it some universal, or is it a new way of seeing things? Because because I don't have enough reference to that new perspective. Is it a new approach? So that's the second thing. The third question, I'm really sorry about this. So the third question is, I heard that you are trying to, build some kind of partnership with us. Is there any practical or maybe something that we have started by in your missions to incorporate that narrative templates to our education system, or is it just specific in between institutions? So those are the 3 responses. The first one is thank you for giving me such a good new approaches. The second one, is it only in Finland or is it new approach? The third one is, what is the actual or steps that maybe you have started to build this new approach to curriculum? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Give applause. Maybe you forgot or I forgot to ask your name. What's your name, sir?
My name is Rustian. Rustian.
Rustian, thank you, Sir Rustian. Prof, can you hear that? Simply, there are 2 main questions, because the first thing is the expression, the delight expression, similar with me particularly. But the second thing is, the thing that might be, have you implemented it in Finland? Because this is kind of perspective, a new approaches for us, for him particularly, regarding the narrative context in here. And secondly, kind of strategy. If I'm trying to make it so in terms of what the questions that the guys in here trying to ask you, Prof.
Okay. Thank you very much for the very interesting questions. Of course, these are very complex questions also, and I try to respond in some ways. First is the easiest one, and this is the second question: is it a new system and is it implemented in Finland? I have to say that it is not implemented in Finland. It is also a new system in Finnish context, and I don't know how long it takes until the ideas are picked up. I remember the last revision of Finnish curriculum was 2014, and I was with my colleagues. I was invited to the National Board of Education to give a presentation on identities, and the result was that okay, this identity concept was adopted into Finnish national curriculum first time. Before that, it was only mentioned as a cultural identity, but now it is adopted as a goal of education, developing identities of students. And my understanding is that the curricula in practice change in national level, at least very slowly. I consider as a theoretical person, trying to create theoretical ideas that are then put into practice by teachers and developers. And in the second presentation that we heard today, I think it was an excellent example of practical ideas and practical instructions for schools and teachers. And I could recognize that there are these positionings, there are these narratives, the theoretical framework that I presented could be easily recognized from that plan, although it didn't mention those terms. So it is not implemented in Finland, and thinking about this first question, this framework, I have been following curriculum studies for 35 years now. It's a international movement of curriculum researchers, and my understanding is that first it was a kind of critical movement against the Tayloristic simple ideas of designing education from goals and testing the achievement of the goals in exams, and then designing instruction again to implement and achieve those learning goals. To more complex thinking, curriculum studies is kind of trying to understand the curriculum process and seeing it curriculum development as a complex conversation in which we have to take all the complexity of the human life and the world into account. It's not that simple to just to define goals that can be measured and tested in the exams. So this identity framework is I've been developing that for 20 more years, and it took 15 years to get it into the Finnish curriculum, and now I'm writing about that and giving presentations to encourage others also to give give some attention to that in the curriculum thinking. I think practice is sometimes very theoretical, and in practical level, teachers implement ideas. They have used personality concept, different other concepts in the instruction without knowing, without understanding that it is very theoretical idea. But for us in the university, I think it's important that we try to theorize what is happening, and to me this is a very interesting endeavor. Also, in the cooperation with Indonesian institutions, I think this is a challenge that we need to continue. I think Indonesia is very advanced in the level of developing practical solutions also into curriculum thinking and teaching about climate change. I don't see this kind of efforts in the European context very much. I think I forgot the third question, but maybe this one.
Yeah, but anyway, we look forward to seeing a good collaboration with you anyway, Prof. Eero. Even you say that it has not implemented yet in Finlandia, Mr. Kostian. But are you saying that you are trying to endorse it to your nation as a curricula and instruction part in education of Finland?
Yes.
All right. Good insight. Thank you, Prof. Move to the second questions. Somebody's over there. Thank you, Mr. Kostian. Thank you so much indeed.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Hello, Eero. Yeah, how are you today?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, please.
Okay, thank you. My name is Ahmad Fajar. I'm from Educational Technology Study Program, and I want to ask you the second question, or two questions. The first, Eero, what are the challenges of implementing a narrative curriculum? And the second question is, what are the lessons learned from implementing a narrative curriculum? So it is very interesting in Indonesia, because Indonesia today in education, in society, is lack of narrative. So thank you.
Thank you. Give applause to Mr. Ahmad Fajar. Sorry if I made mistakes. Professor, two straight questions from Mr. Ahmad Fajar. Yeah, the challenge and the strategy of implementing narrative curricula. Your thoughts, Professor?
Yeah, thank you. I think this is very important thing about implementation. I think in many ways curriculum development has been kind of a struggle of including all the new information and all the new knowledge into school curriculum, and the problem is that the amount of knowledge is increasing with very fast speed. We are always behind the development in sciences. We always have the struggle of what to include and what not to include, and that is one reason that I want to make it more simple with the theory. I think this is a little bit more simple way of, if we have these identity levels, we focus on individual development in terms of identities. Then we have these narratives that develop during the school years and during life. First, we give the narrative templates and simple narratives, but then we make it more complex during the school years. This is a complex process, and it involves all these intracurricular, extracurricular activities and inputs. And of course, it's also a very political thing to implement revisions into curriculum strategy thinking. I think we have to convince politicians who are responsible for education to somehow get away from this kind of test-driven models of education that we have PISA studies every 3 years, and we want to be much better next time in the PISA studies, because PISA is not a very good way of measuring human development and human responsibilities, how people are growing in their understanding of themselves and understanding of the world. So, of course, this kind of testing has a place, but now my point is that it is too much dominating our educational thinking and taking it too much into the direction of performing well in the exams. So, but I'm not a politician. I don't know how to implement things. I introduce the ideas, and then hopefully somebody who has the power to do it is starting to change.
Yeah, even you're not a politician, I think you might use your academical perspective to give the politicians regarding the policy, maybe in dealing with the curricula, right? Okay. Yes. Come out the challenges and the strategies that the professor mentions earlier to the questions of Mr. Pajar, yeah. I'm not going to say that I'm a little bit biased gender, but is there any questions coming up from the ladies over here? Somebody who will ask the ladies? Sorry? Online? Is there any in the chat box? All right, I can see that. Boleh ditampilkan? All right. Somebody who's going to ask virtually through the via chat box? No? Here? Oh, Ibu atau yang lain? Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm interested in climate crisis by Ibu Nur. Okay. Can you, or Ibu Shinta? I'm sorry.
Shinta.
Okay. Can you give the real example what the student need to practice, especially because the example like we are in the city or maybe in the village. So what we need to do facing the climate crisis, especially for the students, the real that we can do. Thank you.
Yeah, wait. Thank you, Ibu, for the question. So, several real actions that students can do is the first one is related to the water, related to the energy, and the biodiversity, and also for the waste management. For the water itself, it's the action how to use less water, make it more sustainable, and how we manage to minimize the water consumption. If in Indonesia, maybe if, after we have wudu, maybe they can put the water in a basin or some container, and we use it for to water the plants and also the other use. For the energy management, as simple as we turn off the light or the other electronics if we don't use it. And we also can use the alternative energy, the eco-friendly energy for our daily lives. For the waste management, as you know, maybe we need to separate the waste, the organic, inorganic, and the hazardous materials, so we can recycle the waste that we have. And the last one is for the biodiversity. Is how we manage our environment to be sustainable, so the biodiversity around us is also become sustained. So we face a biodiversity crisis also here. A lot of species now are in vulnerability of extinction. So we have to manage our environment to be sustainable, so the other species also can live sustainable in our environment. Maybe that's several small actions that students can do. Thank you.
Quite clear, ya, Ibu, ya, the things that might be useful for us in the perspective of creating a culture of fostering the nature and the climates itself. The time is going to run out, maybe, or maybe is there any questions that you are going to ask? Just a single. Ah, I see. Can we still have the single, or we have to break? Okay. I do really apologize, sir, because the system tells me that we have to break. So you can put your individual questions later after this session. Maybe we still have the connection between this session and the second session, truly. But somehow, thank you so much indeed for the brightful presentations, Professor Eero. Give applause for Professor Eero. I think we are going to miss you to come here to visit Indonesia someday, Professor. We can't hardly wait to see you here to collaborate.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be there.
All right. Yeah. Have a great day in Finland. And then
we're going to give the digital certificate.
I see. We're going to give you the digital certificates right after this, Professor Eero. So kindly wait for a second. And lastly, for the second speaker of us, Mbak Shinta, give her applause. Thank you so much, Mbak Shinta, for the insightful idea and lesson regarding the climate change in Kurikulum Merdeka. So who's in charge in there? So I'll give you back the floor, yeah, to Ibu, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Before we go to the second plenary session, we would like to present our digital certificate, especially for Professor Eero Ropo for Tampere University, Finlandia. Would you please accept the certificate? The committee, would you please? Okay, let's give big applause for Prof. Eero. Thank you very much for becoming our keynote speaker for our 5th conference. Thank you. And for Ibu Rofika, I'm sorry, Ibu Shinta, Ibu Nur Rofika Ayu Shinta, is that correct? Yes. Sorry.
Yes, Mbak Shinta.
Mbak Shinta Amalia. I would like to invite Dr. Mario, are you here? Would you please come forward to give the certificate for Ibu Nur Rofika Ayu Shinta Amalia. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big applause for Ibu Shinta. Thank you very much. Okay, once again. Okay, okay, Ibu, you can give it to me. Okay, yes. Another one. The token of appreciation. One more time, let's give big applause. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome Ibu Dr. Indriyani Rachman MA from Kitakyushu University, Japan. But we are going to have a break for 15 minutes. So please enjoy the break time. And in 15 minutes, please back to the ballroom. Have a nice break. Silahkan Bapak dan Ibu untuk menikmati break time selama 15 menit. Nanti kita akan kembali untuk melanjutkan dengan plenary session bagian kedua. Bersama Ibu Dr. Indriyani Rachman MA dan juga Bapak Profesor Dinn Wahyudin. Silahkan selamat menikmati break time 15 menit Bapak dan Ibu. Music, please.
Yeah, Prof. Dinn Wahyudin, the Honorable Prof. Dinn Wahyudin. And secondly, as the prime, which is a virtual presentation, will be Ibu Indriyani Rachman, PhD. Yeah, she is a lecturer at Faculty of Environmental Engineering, Department of Lab and Environmental Engineering, the University of Kitakyushu, Japan. Welcome her by applauding her warmly, please. For the first speaker, Mrs. Indriyani Rachman, PhD, she's going to present the implementations of SDGs program and learning activities at school to create an environmentally friendly generation. Mrs. Indriyani, Bu Indri, are you ready?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Bu Indri, we are here with Prof. Eero Ropo from Finland as well, and we are here with Prof. Dinn Wahyudin, who is going to deliver the second presentations soon after you. Now, the time, the stage, and the screen is yours, Ibu Indri.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Ya,
wabarakatuh.
saya ingin menyapa Prof. Dinn, dosen saya, tempat saya curhat, tempat saya berbagi dan tempat saya belajar. Selamat siang, Prof. Saya banyak belajar dari Prof. Dinn. Kemudian yang terhormat juga Prof. Yudi Susilana, Ibu Dr. Laksmi, dan semua dosen-dosen yang ada di FIP. Kemudian para hadirin yang saya hormati. Kemudian saya ingin juga menyapa TVUPI, sahabat masa kecil saya, sahabat saya, selalu bersama di acara, di aktivitas pramuka dan drum band. Senang bisa lihat TVUPI. Oke, thank you very much untuk panitia telah mengundang saya di acara konferen ini. Saya akan mix menggunakan bahasa Inggris dan bahasa Indonesia.
Baik, Bu.
Ya, maaf kemampuan bahasa Inggris saya tidak begitu bagus. Oke. I would like to presentation about my tema is about implementation of SDGs program in learning activity at school to create an environmentally friendly generation. Saya akan memberikan banyak contoh kegiatan-kegiatan yang dilakukan di kota Kitakyushu. Oke, sebelum presentasi saya ingin bercerita dulu sedikit tentang kota di mana tempat saya tinggal saat ini. Kota Kitakyushu adalah kota yang memiliki sejarah polusi udara yang sangat berat. Jadi karena kota Kitakyushu itu adalah awal mulanya adanya revolusi industri di negara Jepang. Di sinilah pertama kali didirikan pabrik steel di kota Kitakyushu. Waktu terus berlalu sehingga kota Kitakyushu menjadi kota yang sangat polusi, memiliki polusi yang sangat hebat. Saat ini pun kota Kitakyushu terus berjuang untuk menangani polusi-polusi tersebut. Kitakyushu itu bukan destinasi pariwisata, tetapi destinasi untuk mempelajari tentang lingkungan.
Maaf,
Bagaimana kota Kitakyushu?
boleh full screen karena tidak terlihat?
Oke.
Iya, boleh di full screen slideshow saja, Bu. Oke, thank you.
Ya.
Sudah, Bu.
Bagaimana kota Kitakyushu ini bisa memperbaiki kotanya? Ini adalah kerjasama antara industri, kemudian pemerintah dan masyarakat kota. Mereka bersatu untuk menangani masalah polusi tersebut, sehingga saat ini kota Kitakyushu menjadi kota acuan dan kota model untuk mempelajari tentang lingkungan, baik itu manajemen lingkungan atau pendidikan lingkungan. Kemudian kota Kitakyushu ini apa yang dilakukan? Jadi setelah kota Kitakyushu menjadi kota yang environmental friendly, apa yang dilakukan oleh Kitakyushu untuk mempertahankan kotanya tetap menjadi kota yang environmental friendly. Jadi di kota Kitakyushu ini memiliki 5 distrik. Di setiap distrik itu ada perpustakaan. Hampir setengah dari buku-buku yang ada di perpustakaan ini semuanya mengenai environment, jadi mengenai pendidikan lingkungan. Kegiatan-kegiatannya juga, kemudian apa yang dilakukan oleh perpustakaan kota, itu semuanya berkaitan dengan lingkungan. Kemudian pemerintah kota juga membuat pamflet, kemudian memberikan pendidikan lingkungan kepada masyarakat-masyarakatnya. Selain itu, fasilitas yang disediakan oleh pemerintah itu mengenai pendidikan lingkungan. Jadi di sini ada tentang misalnya ya fasilitas untuk mempelajari sungai, fasilitas untuk mempelajari bagaimana sampah itu dipilah gitu, fasilitas bagaimana mempelajari tentang sejarah gitu, itu semuanya ada fasilitasnya di sini. Kemudian selain itu pemerintah juga membuat semacam tes pengetahuan lingkungan yang untuk masyarakat, di mana masyarakat bisa belajar tentang lingkungan dan ada tesnya gitu. Kalau misalnya kalau di kita misalnya tes tentang kemampuan berbahasa Inggris levelnya sudah sampai mana. Nah di kota Kitakyushu itu ada tes juga kemampuan pengetahuan tentang lingkungan itu sudah sampai level mana. Nah, itulah beberapa contoh yang dilakukan oleh pemerintah untuk mempertahankan supaya masyarakat di kota Kitakyushu ini tetap mengetahui tentang sejarah Kitakyushu dan tentang lingkungan. Salah satunya adalah dengan disebarkannya buku ini, Kembalikan Juru Kami. Nah, buku ini disebar ke seluruh masyarakat, ke sekolah, kemudian ke semua lapisan, supaya mengetahui bahwa kota Kitakyushu itu adalah kota yang pernah mengalami polusi yang sangat parah. Kemudian buku ini berbahasa Inggris, jadi sekalian untuk belajar membaca dalam bahasa Inggris. Ini saya lihatkan saja gambar-gambarnya. Jadi generasi saat ini, generasi muda saat ini bisa mempelajari tentang sejarah kota Kitakyushu, bagaimana kota Kitakyushu ini memperbaiki kotanya sehingga menjadi kota yang ramah lingkungan. Seperti ini, jadi kota Kitakyushu pernah parah polusinya. Nah, dalam buku ini diceritakan semua pemangku adat, masyarakat berumbuk untuk memecahkan masalah kota ini. Seperti dalam foto ini banyak ibu-ibu, jadi power of emak-emak gitu. Pada saat itu banyak ibu-ibu yang protes kepada pemerintah karena kondisi kota yang sudah tidak sehat lagi. Seperti ini bukunya. Kemudian di dalam buku ini kota Kitakyushu sudah menjadi kota yang blue sky, kemudian menjadi kota yang ramah lingkungan, dan sungai-sungainya juga sudah sehat. Nah, bagaimana pemerintah kota itu menggabungkan kegiatan SDGs dengan program SDGs dengan kegiatan yang dilakukan di sekolah-sekolah atau di masyarakat. Jadi untuk resources itu di program SDGs nomor 2, 6, 7, dan 12. Untuk sosial di 4, 5, 10, dan 16. Kemudian di environment itu 11, 13, 14, 15, dan seterusnya di ekonomi. Jadi pemerintah mematchingkan antara program SDGs dengan program pendidikan lingkungan untuk sekolah dan masyarakat. Untuk masyarakat misalnya pemerintah memberikan pamflet seperti ini, di mana kegiatan-kegiatan yang bisa dilakukan itu diumumkan ke masyarakat kota dan terbuka untuk siapa saja bila ingin ikut berpartisipasi. Jadi masyarakat tinggal mendaftar di pemerintah kota atau di pemerintah distrik, kemudian mengikuti aktivitas tersebut. Kemudian salah satu program yang dilakukan oleh pemerintah itu adalah Eco-Life. Nah, mereka memprogramkan bahwa setiap masyarakat dianjurkan untuk menekan pengeluaran karbon gitu. Jadi program ini namanya low carbon di Eco-Life. Kemudian seperti kita tahu Jepang itu sering sekali mengkampanyekan motainai gitu. Nah, salah satunya program motainai ini tersambung ke program Eco-Life. Salah satu yang dilakukannya adalah bagaimana kita menekan pengeluaran sampah dari rumah kita. Nah, ini digembar-gemborkan oleh pemerintah melalui web Eco-Life ini. Jadi siapa saja bisa melihat di web untuk mempelajari bagaimana program ini bila kita ingin berpartisipasi. Salah satunya zero waste. Jadi supaya kita tidak banyak mengeluarkan sampah. Kemudian bagaimana kita bisa mengurangi penggunaan listrik. Nah, digembar-gemborkan juga supaya tidak menggunakan listrik ketika memang tidak diperlukan. Misalnya tidak menyalakan lampu gitu, pada siang hari gitu ketika terang, atau tidak menyalakan TV ketika tidak ada yang menonton gitu. Jadi program-program apa yang harus dilakukan itu semuanya ada guide-nya di dalam web Eco-Life ini. Kemudian untuk Zero Hungry diajarkan di sekolah-sekolah untuk bisa menanam tanaman sendiri. Jadi anak kelas 1 sampai kelas 6 mereka mempunyai program untuk menanam tanaman sendiri di MyPot seperti itu. Nah, ini adalah salah satu supaya siswa di sekolah itu terbiasa memiliki tanaman sendiri. Kelas 1 dan kelas 2 itu biasanya menanam tanaman bunga yang gampang bisa ditanam, kemudian menanam tomat. Tapi kemudian yang untuk siswa yang lebih tinggi itu biasanya menanam sayur atau menanam umbi-umbian. Nah, kebiasaan untuk menanam tanaman ini membuat siswa jadi bisa mengerti bagaimana cara menanam, apa kesulitan yang dihadapinya gitu. Misalnya kalau ada serangga apa dan harus apa yang dilakukan. Terus kemudian untuk menyiram tanamannya juga gitu, itu dibiasakan. Dan nanti di akhir semester mereka akan membuat report tentang tanamannya sendiri. Nah, ini adalah salah satu cara sekolah melaksanakan program SDGs di poin 2. Kemudian apa yang bisa dilakukan oleh warga berkaitan dengan menurunkan karbon ini? Salah satunya adalah penggunaan renewable energy juga. Kota Kitakyushu termasuk kota yang sangat konsen dalam menggalakkan renewable energy. Seperti kita tahu, Jepang itu banyak sekali asupan energi dari negara-negara lain. Nah, untuk bisa mempertahankan energi, maka penggunaan renewable energy itu digalakkan. Salah satu contoh di kegiatan di sekolah itu mereka membuat misalnya kipas dari botol plastik, kemudian menggunakan, ini hanya percobaan kecil, tetapi siswa dapat menyimpulkan bahwa angin bisa dijadikan salah satu untuk menghasilkan energi. Kemudian di sini juga dikampanyekan untuk selalu kalau bisa menggunakan public transportation atau menggunakan sepeda atau berjalan kaki itu. Jadi penggunaan mobil atau kendaraan yang mengeluarkan karbon itu sebisa mungkin dihindari. Jadi kalau misalnya bisa menggunakan public transportation atau tadi ya dengan sepeda bila jaraknya dekat. Kemudian memanfaatkan barang yang bisa dimanfaatkan kembali gitu. atau misalnya kayak pakaian-pakaian bekas tapi layak pakai itu tidak dibuang gitu, tapi dimasukkan ke recycle, tempat recycle nanti untuk digunakan oleh orang lain gitu. Jadi tidak langsung dijadikan sampah. Atau kebiasaan ibu-ibu yang belanja banyak gitu. Nah, di sini ada training juga supaya ibu-ibu itu bisa menekan pengeluaran sampah, misalnya bagaimana cara belanja untuk 1 minggu, tetapi tidak membiarkan sayurannya itu membusuk gitu. Nah, itu mereka di training bagaimana caranya supaya bisa memanage masakan-masakan, rencana memasak sehingga di dalam kulkas itu tidak ada sayur yang busuk gitu. Atau mereka juga diajarkan untuk tidak mengeluarkan banyak sampah atau sisa makanan. Nah, dalam program Eco Life ini mereka juga diajak untuk tidak menggunakan plastik bag. Jadi mereka dianjurkan untuk selalu menggunakan kantong namanya eco bag kalau di sini. Jadi ketika belanja diminta untuk melakukan untuk tidak menggunakan plastik bag tersebut. Kemudian kadang-kadang ada gotong royong berkala yang dilakukan yang kegiatannya itu dilakukan oleh LSM di masyarakat, mengajak supaya masyarakat atau sekolah untuk sama-sama bergotong royong membersihkan sampah-sampah yang ada di pantai. Kemudian di perpustakaan seperti tadi saya jelaskan banyak sekali buku-buku yang menceritakan tentang bagaimana cara kita untuk memanage sampah kita. Nah, ini banyak sekali, hampir setengah dari buku perpustakaan itu mengenai lingkungan. Nah, di kota ini setiap perpustakaan itu saling saling sambung menyambung gitu. Jadi masyarakat bisa meminjam buku di perpustakaan manapun atau memesan buku gitu dari perpustakaan manapun. Nanti buku itu akan datang ke tempat di mana dia tinggal gitu, di perpustakaan di mana tempat dia tinggal. Jadi lebih memudahkan masyarakat bila ingin meminjam buku. Nah, event-event yang ada di perpustakaan pun lebih banyak ke event-event yang bertema lingkungan. Ini adalah salah satu contoh dari sekolah SD di Yanagawa, di mana semua jadwal pembelajaran dan aktivitas sekolah itu disambungkan dengan program SDGs. Seperti di gambar yang saya tampilkan, di sini ada kegiatan untuk kelas 6 SD. Di bawah sebelah kiri ke bawah itu adalah mata pelajarannya, kemudian yang atas ke kanan itu adalah jadwal bulan, di mana di pelajaran anak kelas 5 SD di dalam kurikulumnya dan mata pelajarannya itu kegiatannya disambungkan dengan program SDGs. Misalnya di sini ada global warming dan disaster forest misalnya. Ini akan dipelajari di mata pelajaran sosial morality, kemudian kegiatannya akan dilakukan di bulan Agustus. Nah, kalau di Jepang, di kota Kitakyushu juga kan ada daftar pelajaran, kemudian ada per jam pelajaran. Nah, biasanya dalam 1 minggu ada dua jam di mana jam tersebut kosong gitu, tidak ada nama mata pelajarannya gitu. Nah, untuk 2 jam kosong itu dalam 1 minggu akan digunakan untuk misalnya pengayaan atau untuk melakukan kegiatan-kegiatan yang berkaitan dengan pendidikan lingkungan misalnya. Kemudian dalam 2 jam itu guru bisa menentukan apa yang akan dilakukan selain pengayaan atau termasuk kegiatan ini untuk memperkaya pengetahuan tentang SDGs misalnya, ada gotong royong bersama, misalnya ada menanam bunga bersama, itu biasanya dilakukan di 2 jam kegiatan tersebut. Jadi namanya jam kosong gitu. Padahal sebetulnya tidak kosong, ada kegiatan, tapi di jam itu ada pengayaan dan penambahan. Seperti dalam tayangan saya ini, kita bisa melihat di mana setiap kegiatan di kalender akademik, setiap kegiatan yang dilakukan itu akan nge-link ke tujuan dan program SDGs. Seperti yang ada tentang gempa bumi, earthquake, ini nyambung ke program SDGs nomor 11. Atau mengenai tentang menyelamatkan bumi, itu akan nyambung ke kegiatan ke program tentang SDGs nomor 13. Jadi hampir semua kegiatan-kegiatan yang dilakukan di sekolah itu ada ketersambungan dengan kegiatan SDGs. Nah, seperti ini kegiatan yang dilakukan misalnya untuk anak kelas 5, di sini tentang gender equality. Kemudian tentang ekonomi, tentang sustainability dan community, ini semuanya tergabung, tema-temanya tergabung dalam kegiatan SDGs dan dilakukan dan dijadwalkan dalam kegiatan sekolah. Jadi dalam 1 tahun itu, tahun yang akan datang sudah membuat jadwal kegiatan yang akan dilakukan, kemudian akan tersambung ke SDGs nomor berapa dan jenis kegiatan itu seperti apa. Kemudian misalnya untuk siswa kelas 4 itu mereka diajarkan bagaimana memecahkan masalah yang ada di sekolah. Nah, mereka disuruh menganalisis apa yang mereka temukan yang menjadi masalah. Nah, untuk kelas 4, guru itu mengarahkan supaya mereka melihat bahwa sampah makanan itu menjadi masalah. Nah, kalau di sini siswa itu makan siangnya di sekolah gitu. Jadi tidak ada jualan, tidak ada kantin untuk anak SD dan SMP. Nah, di dapur sekolah itu biasanya suka banyak sampah organik bekas memasak atau sisa makanan. Makanya di sini itu digembar-gemborkan gitu, disuruh supaya anak-anak itu menghabiskan makanan. Jadi mereka akan mengambil sesuai kemampuan dia memakan, kemudian akan menghabiskan makanan itu. Jadi dianjurkan untuk tidak mengambil banyak dan tidak habis gitu. Itu salah satu program pendidikan gitu, supaya mereka menghabiskan makanan supaya tidak food loss. Nah, siswa kelas 4 itu diajarkan bagaimana memecahkan masalah yang ada di dalam sekolah. Kemudian setelah mereka bisa memecahkan masalah yang ada di dalam sekolahnya, mereka akan menganalisis masalah apa yang terjadi di luar sekolah. Jadi misalnya kalau sekolah-sekolah yang dekat dengan pantai, mereka akan menganalisis masalah tentang sampah pantai misalnya. Kemudian mereka akan mengajak masyarakat sekitar untuk bergotong royong memungut sampah. Kemudian mereka menganalisis sampah apa saja yang ada. Misalnya nanti akan dilihat sampah plastiknya dari mana. Nah, ini mereka akan menjadi tema diskusi bagaimana cara menyedikitkan sampah laut gitu, karena sampah pantai itu banyak yang berasal dari laut. Nah, salah satu pembelajaran yang dilakukan di sini yaitu siswa kelas 4 mereka memiliki semacam kayak project apa yang akan mereka lakukan. Ya, pembuatan kompos ini biasanya dilakukan dalam waktu 1 semester. Jadi dari mulai menemukan masalah di dalam sekolah, kemudian mereka menganalisis ada sampah apa saja, kemudian mereka juga mempelajari tentang pembuatan kompos, tapi ketika pembuatan kompos mereka akan mencari sumber belajar dari luar gitu. Biasanya akan bekerja sama dengan pemerintah untuk mempelajari bagaimana cara membuat kompos gitu. Jadi guru akan menghubungi sumber belajar lain. Jadi seperti ini caranya bagaimana siswa bisa berkomunikasi juga dengan narasumber lain. Jadi mereka mendiskusikan apa yang jadi masalah, kemudian mereka membuat perencanaannya, kemudian menghubungi narasumbernya gitu. Itu semuanya dilakukan oleh siswa. Tapi di belakang layar guru sudah menghubungi narasumber tersebut gitu. Kalau siswanya akan mempelajari ini dan meminta supaya narasumber dan meminta agar menjadi narasumber. Jadi nanti siswa dan narasumber itu akan komunikasi gitu. Padahal sebetulnya ya tadi itu guru sudah ada di belakang layar gitu. Nah, ini adalah salah satu kegiatan siswa ketika melakukan pembersihan pantai. Jadi ini tahap pemecahan masalah yang tahap kedua. Jadi tahap pertamanya di dalam sekolah, tahap keduanya di luar sekolah. Nah, ini kalendernya seperti ini. Jadi yang tadi contoh anak kelas 4 dan kelas 5. Sebetulnya anak kelas 6 juga atau kelas 1, kelas 2 itu juga mereka melakukan kegiatan-kegiatan untuk pendidikan lingkungan. Nah, ini adalah salah satu contoh. Anak kelas 1 itu mereka akan mempelajari tentang indahnya musim gugur. Ya, mereka akan menganalisis musim gugur itu ada apa saja yang terjadi gitu. Nah, ini berkaitan dengan SDGs nomor 15. Kemudian anak kelas 2 mereka akan melakukan kegiatan ini gitu. Kegiatan seperti ini dan berkaitan dengan SDGs nomor 9 gitu. Anak kelas 3 dengan SDGs nomor 11 dan seterusnya. Kemudian di salah satu kegiatan di sini, salah satu kegiatan di Kitakyushu, banyak juga sekolah-sekolah yang memiliki hubungan dengan sekolah yang ada di negara lain melalui program UNESCO. Nah, ini adalah salah satu kegiatan yang berkaitan dengan SDGs di SD. Nah, bagaimana untuk sekolah TK? Sekolah TK sama juga mereka memiliki kegiatan yang dilingkan dengan kegiatan SDGs. Misalnya anak-anak TK memulai untuk mempelajari perbedaan plastik. PET botol, kemudian cupnya, tutupnya gitu, atau labelnya gitu, itu jenis plastik apa dan mereka memilahnya. Dan mereka juga seperti tadi kegiatan di SD, mereka juga membuat kompos dari sisa-sisa makanan, makanan atau dari sisa-sisa dapur. Mereka membuat kompos sendiri. Dan mereka juga diajarkan untuk selalu mencuci tangan. Selain itu, siswa SD juga diajarkan memilah sampah, kemudian meletakkan sampah tersebut di gudang tempat sampah. Jadi mereka dikasih tahu ini gudang untuk kardus, ini gudang untuk kertas misalnya, ini gudang untuk tempat susu, box susu. Nah, mereka juga diajarkan tentang perubahan cuaca dari natural science. Jadi ketika musim dingin, mereka diajak untuk membuat percobaan bahwa kalau misalnya kita menyimpan air di luar dalam satu malam, air tersebut akan menjadi es gitu. Nah, mereka diajarkan hal-hal seperti itu. Berkaitan dengan kompos, mereka juga menanam stroberi atau menanam sayur, kemudian nanti dimakan bersama. Nah, di sini mereka diajarkan tempat kompos itu seperti ini, boxnya itu mereka menyebutnya ini taberuzo gitu. Artinya ayo memakan. Jadi si tempat kompos itu bisa memakan semua sampah-sampah, bisa memakan semua sampah-sampah sisa makanan, kemudian diproses menjadi kompos. Atau mereka juga untuk supaya bisa cinta dengan laut, mereka belajar memancing dengan game seperti ini gitu. Bagaimana supaya mereka itu mencintai laut dan seisinya. Oke, mereka juga membuat permainan alat-alat bermain dari sampah seperti ini menggunakan kemudian menggunakan box bekas tisu. Mereka membuat semacam regi ya, membuat semacam kayak jualan-jualan gitu, uangnya pakai pet botol. Mereka menggunakan ini. Atau mereka juga membuat dari sampah newspaper untuk membuat game seperti ini. Nah, di sini anak TK pun diajarkan tentang poin-poin SDGs itu apa saja gitu. Kemudian diajarkan kegiatannya itu apa saja gitu. Mereka diberitahu terutama untuk SDGs nomor 14. Di perpustakaan TK ini mereka guru-guru mengklasifikasikan setiap buku. Buku cerita ini ada kaitannya dengan SDGs nomor sekian. Buku cerita ini ada kaitannya dengan SDGs nomor sekian gitu. Dan setiap anak itu wajib melihat satu buku dalam satu hari atau mendengarkan guru membaca buku. Nah, buku-buku tersebut seperti tadi saya bilang ada kaitannya dengan SDGs. Dan anak SD itu di sini ada banyak ruang terbuka hijau untuk anak-anak TK itu bermain di ruang terbuka hijau. Jadi mereka nanti misalnya kalau musim gugur itu biasanya banyak serangga. Nanti mereka akan menangkap serangga, misalnya mempelajari tentang daun-daun yang gugur, ini daun apa misalnya, bagaimana warnanya bisa berubah gitu. Mereka mempelajari itu. Jadi mendekatkan siswa itu dengan alam. Oke, ini adalah foto sudut kota Kitakyushu. Saya foto minggu lalu. Si langitnya sudah biru dan sungai-sungainya pun sudah banyak ikannya. Terima kasih atas perhatiannya. Mohon maaf. Ini presentasi dari saya. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih banyak. Arigatou gozaimasu. Bu Indri, sekarang musim apa di sana?
Sekarang musim gugur.
Oh, sedang musim gugur, berarti mulai menjelang dingin, ya Bu ya?
Ya, sudah mulai agak dingin, anginnya sudah mulai dingin.
Ya, oke Bu, baik. Mohon dengan segala hormat untuk menunggu karena we're going to move to the next session, to the next speaker, particularly Prof Dinn yang akan menyampaikan presentasi setelah ini, ya Ibu. Mohon izin Ibu nunggu, barangkali nanti akan ada pertanyaan dari audience. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now we are arrived at the last journey of our colorful discussion. Moving on to our fourth speaker, the great and the respectful lecturer. We have Professor Dinn Wahyudin, who is well known as a lecturer at Faculty of Education in Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. Prof Dinn, the times is yours. Give applause to Prof Dinn.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thanks to Pak Iip who has guide us for presenting the last presentation. Selamat sore Mbak Indri.
Ya Prof, selamat sore.
Selamat sore, mudah-mudahan sehat di sana ya.
Amin.
One day we hope we visit the Kitakyushu University. Yeah. I have one times, and hopefully Ibu Indri will welcome us, whoever intend to visit the nice city Kitakyushu. Ya, tadi kita sudah melihat yang tadinya kota kotor karena kota industri, but in several decades, 2 decades or more, I think, berubah menjadi kota bersih dan menjadi rujukan Jepang, termasuk negara lain yang belajar how Kitakyushu people learn from the dirty city with pollution to become a clean city. Nah, topik saya sesuai juga dengan yang direncanakan, tetapi part of this presentation actually has been discussed last night. Jadi ini yang semalam itu preliminary discussion. We talk about trends issues on curriculum policy and research in the context of sustainable development goals. Jadi kalau kita berbicara tentang sustainable development goal yang ada 17th goal ya, ada 19, ada 17. Education itu yang keempat. Jadi quality of education. Tetapi bagi pendidikan kita bisa melihat bahwa near all of the 17 goal of SDGs bagi pendidikan itu harus dikaitkan dan bagaimana siswa diberi sejak awal pengertian-pengertian itu. Dan bagi kita sebagai guru atau sebagai pengelola guru, termasuk juga puskurjar, bagaimana menyikapi atau melaksanakan mengawal SDGs ini tidak sekedar yang keempat, quality of education, tetapi in some cases all of the 17 goals have close relationship with what should be prepared for young generation to be aware of this problem. Sebagai contoh, ketika yang pertama ini bicara tentang zero apa? Yang pertama itu kemiskinan lah misalnya, atau coba lihat ya. Atau no poverty, atau zero hungers misalnya gitu ya. Dalam beberapa hal ya harus dikomunikasikan kepada anak betapa pentingnya sarapan. Seperti semalam saya contohkan di beberapa tempat di Indonesia, many young kids has a very insufficient food. Nah, itu mungkin karena keterbatasan orang tua, atau juga karena the ignorance of parents who has not proper knowledge about gizi, tentang pentingnya makanan sehat. Ini hal yang complicated. Jadi bagaimana siswa dibiasakan mendapatkan gizi yang bagus. On the other hand, also bagaimana parents has knowledge about how to manage food gitu ya. Jadi kalau orang tua terbatas, ayahnya merokoknya di Samsu lagi, kan itu uangnya 50.000 per bungkus. Tetapi anaknya diberi makanan yang unhealthy atau tidak cukup. Jadi how they can manage young generation apabila zero hunger ini tidak dirubah gitu. Ini terjadi juga di beberapa tempat di Indonesia. Nah, two topics shall be discussed in our presentation. In my presentation is firstly concerning with curriculum policy, dan secondly how curriculum research can be planned and implemented in relationship with fulfilling a sustainable development goals gitu. SDGs itu akhir 2030 itu akan berakhir. Nah, kita lihat dalam beberapa in the next 6 years ini apakah sudah tercapai atau tidak. Tapi bagaimanapun juga many efforts not only in Indonesia, in every countries in the world punya program-program seperti itu. Termasuk di Indonesia sampai di tingkat grassroots. Jadi bagaimana sekolah menyiapkan program-programnya yang sebetulnya kalau lihat ujung-ujungnya itu adalah SDGs gitu, kira-kira begitu ya. Jadi SDGs direncanakan, dikawal oleh semua negara termasuk Indonesia, dan every single school even in remote area have a program concerning with how SDGs could be achieved in their own goal gitu ya. Nah, saya lewat-lewat saja. Ini ada 2 buku yang sebetulnya ingin encourage all of participant yang kebetulan malam ini datang, misalnya apa mahasiswa, apakah guru, apakah decision makers in education, atau termasuk juga head teachers. Jadi generasi fase sekarang itu harus banyak baca, banyak belajar dan banyak menimba ilmu. How we can encourage our student to learn, work hard, learn much more books. Kalau if we are as teachers, as lecturer, tidak mempunyai spirit untuk membaca banyak, untuk belajar banyak. Jadi let's learn together. Salah satunya ada 2 buku yang saya pikir ini are very important things for implementing sustainable development goal ini. Yang pertama ada buku yang berjudul OECD Future of Education and Skill 2030. Jadi ini buku ini bagus sekali dan mari kita coba implementasikan dalam in the grassroots spirit. Bagaimana guru di kelas masing-masing menyiapkan hal-hal yang ditulis oleh OECD ini. Sebagai contoh ini ada 7 hal ini ya. How important education ecosystem for improving our education system. Pada skup yang paling sederhana, bagaimana ekosistem ini dikembangkan, dikawal agar individual school, sekolah-sekolah satuan pendidikan yang ada ini bisa melakukan suatu proses pembelajaran yang baik. Ekosistem itu antara lain dicirikan bahwa banyak pemangku kepentingan yang memberikan dukungan. Jadi many stakeholders has a chance for improving education system. Jadi bagaimana peran guru, bagaimana peran kepala sekolah, bagaimana peran orang tua murid, peran masyarakat agar sekolah itu memberikan layanan yang optimum. Ini we talk about ecosystem. Nah, itulah pentingnya bagaimana ekosistem dibina di tingkat sekolah, kendati sekolah terpencil di pedesaan. Disesuaikan saja. Jadi kalau in a very remote area, in small village, ekosistemnya siapa? Ya ada orang tua, ada guru, ada kepala sekolah, ada masyarakat, even masyarakat poor people, poor parents, misalnya orangnya miskin tapi itulah yang disebut ekosistem di sekolah tersebut. Jadi bagaimana di tengah keterbatasan ada usaha untuk itu. Ini semua berkaitan dengan quality of education ya. Jadi betapa pentingnya share responsibility, betapa pentingnya comparing between valuing outcome. Jadi kita sangat menghargai outcome, tapi pada waktu yang bersamaan proses juga penting. Jadi proses and outcome are 2 variables that should be prepared well. Jadi bagaimana kita bisa menghasilkan outcome yang baik apabila prosesnya juga tidak direncanakan dengan baik. Oke, saya lewatin saja ya. Ini tentang buku ini, jadi silakan dibaca. Nah, yang keduanya sekilas saja, when we talk about competencies, dalam berbagai literatur yang disebut competencies itu ada knowledge-nya, ada valuing-nya gitu ya, sikap, ada juga skill gitu. Nah, ini juga hampir bersamaan, hanya mungkin perbedaannya ketika knowledge, kalau di Bloom taksonomi ada C1, C2 sampai C berapa? C5 ya, C6. C6 itu kan degree of tingkat kesulitannya. Nah, di sini knowledge ini dibedakan dengan tiga knowledge. Pertama knowledge disciplinary knowledge. Jadi setiap orang yang sekolah S1, S2 pasti disiplin ilmunya itu, disciplinary knowledge. Guru yang punya tugas mengajar, guru kelas ataupun guru mata pelajaran, ada disciplinary knowledge-nya. Nah, ini tantangan sebab ketika seseorang have a capability in a disciplinary knowledge, but they are required also to connect, untuk menggabungkan gitu ya dengan kemampuan interdisciplinary knowledge ataupun practical knowledge. Jadi ini tantangan. Bagaimana guru bahasa Indonesia mengaitkan kemampuan berbahasa Indonesia dan mengajar language capability kepada siswa, kemudian supaya kontekstual digabungkan dengan bidang lain, dengan pekerjaan lain. Itu yang disebut dengan interdisciplinary knowledge. Dan ini akan sangat bisa dilakukan if teachers have capability in mix together, in combining. Bagaimana disciplinary knowledge, interdisciplinary knowledge, practical knowledge combine, digabungkan sehingga akhirnya membuahkan suatu pembelajaran yang bermakna. Nah, ini kan begitu ya dalam konteks kurikulum. Jadi meaningful experiences ini akan sangat bergantung pada bagaimana si guru mengemas program pembelajaran sehingga siswa bisa memahami hal tersebut. Itu termasuk skill, ya, karakter, ya. Ini hal penting dan kita sangat memahami benar bahwa pengetahuan itu tidak cukup diberikan kepada siswa-siswa kita. Harus juga dibekali dengan sikap mental, karakter, dan ketika bicara good characters, not only how to berperilaku baik saja, bukan hanya baik atau beriman, bertakwa itu penting, tetapi juga harus dengan karakter yang disesuaikan dengan zaman ini. Katanya di abad 21 itu karakter yang sangat direkomendasikan itu hardworking, kolaborasi, komunikasi. Jadi siswa harus sejak awal diperkenalkan dengan suatu skill, kemampuan how to communicate with others. Jadi dia sesuai dengan usianya. Apakah siswa TK bisa diajarkan itu? Ya mungkin kita bisa menyesuaikan. Siswa STK belajar berkomunikasi, paling tidak siapa namanya, siapa nama orang tuanya, dan juga ngobrol dengan temannya, disesuaikan dengan usia. In university level, jadi komunikasi bisa dikembangkan lebih lanjut. Bagaimana berargumen, bagaimana untuk mempertahankan ide, bagaimana untuk meyakinkan the others, karena dalam kehidupan sehari-hari praktik-praktik itu persis penting. Bagaimana mempengaruhi konsumen agar membeli produk kita, yaitu marketers. Good marketers itu kan bukan hanya sekedar menjual, tapi juga how to educate the others, sehingga akhirnya decision makingnya itu dia saya membeli ini karena merasa ini penting. Oh, saya membeli ini karena ada informasi yang diberikan. That is communication in a very high level. Dan yang kedua, communicate not only how to express ideas to others dengan bahasa yang enak, bahasa yang lugas, tetapi juga how to listen the others. Jadi menjadi pendengar yang baik itu justru lebih penting. Makanya Allah, Tuhan yang Maha Kuasa, menyiapkan mulut satu, telinga dua katanya. Ya kalau saya pikir ini bukan karena kebetulan. Jadi telinga dua itu biar more listen the others. Jangan ignoran pada apa yang disampaikan orang lain, hanya begitu-begitu saja. Tapi listen carefully, kemudian kalau respon politely, dan itu good communication. Seperti itu ya, attitude, ini juga values yang saya pikir penting, dan di Indonesia itu bicara values, ada juga spiritual competencies. Ini menjadi penciri Republik Indonesia bahwa pendidikan itu harus meningkatkan iman dan takwa. Jadi ini bukan tanpa konsekuensi, tapi pemerintah menyiapkan dengan benar. Karena harus bertakwa kepada Tuhan Yang Maha Esa, maka ada pelajaran agama. Pelajaran agama pun bukan hanya satu agama, tapi agama yang diakui oleh pemerintah. Dan pemerintah menyiapkan itu, ada gurunya, ada bahan ajarnya, pelatihannya. Puskurjar pun menyiapkan berbagai guru agama itu berkelompok-kelompok, karena itu antara lain bagaimana spiritual kompetensis itu harus ditingkatkan, harus dibangun sebagai bagian dari NKRI, dari generasi muda yang saya pikir ini perlu dilakukan. Oke, ini buku kedua. Bagi yang berminat nanti saya kirim ke panitia, ada New Blue Kurikulum. Intinya adalah sebetulnya merespon tentang tadi SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. Kalau di Kitakyushu tadi kita mendapatkan informasi jadi betapa seluruh komponen masyarakat di kota Kitakyushu, jadi bukan hanya guru, tapi masyarakat sekitar, ibu-ibu, para petani, para industriawan, para pengambil keputusan, para politisi, do together, work together untuk membuat kotanya menjadi jernih. Peraturannya dibuat yang membuat menyenangkan, yang mengatur lingkungan, malah untuk supaya clean city dibuat peraturan yang baik. Ini contoh kecil, ini saya melihat ini hotel yang ramah lingkungan. Minumannya sengaja pakai botol supaya bisa recycle, digunakan kembali, ketimbang menggunakan minuman yang menggunakan plastik botol gitu kan, itu jadi sampah. Diminumnya hanya 100 gram, tapi sampahnya sampai bertahun-tahun baru recycle-nya. Nah ini contoh gitu ya. Nah dalam New Kurikulum ini secara umum ada beberapa hal yang harus dilakukan, karena perubahan itu start in the classroom. Kalau kita ingin berubah dari hal yang tidak baik menjadi baik, mulailah dari kelas. Kalau ingin generasi muda ini atau malah masyarakat dunia ini menjadi masyarakat yang santun, mulailah dari kelas. Jadi seluruh kelas di seluruh Indonesia, di seluruh dunia mengajarkan kesantunan, mengajarkan politeness kepada siswa generasi muda, ya akhirnya penghuni planet ini akan sopan, santun kepada sesama. Jadi start from the classroom. Jadi bukan dimulai dari politisi gitu ya. Jadi dari kelas. Jadi kalau ingin merubah gitu ya suatu komunitas, suatu community, saya pikir semangat seperti ini bukan karena kita bergerak di bidang pendidikan, tapi karena faktanya perilaku seseorang itu sangat dipengaruhi ketika seseorang itu belajar. Seseorang yang sekarang itu korup, ditangkap KPK, jangan-jangan gitu ya, ketika SD-nya, SMP-nya kita AB dengan perilaku tadi, merusak orang, menipu orang. Jadi menipu, merugikan orang lain itu harus menjadi dosa besar, harus dihindari, dan itu sejak awal harus diberikan kepada anak didik. Nah ini Ibu dan Bapak, para all audience tentang Blue Kurikulum, ada transforming educational space. Jadi we should prepare a proper space for transforming education in school setting. Jadi bagaimana guru, bagaimana sekolah membuat kebijakan yang akhirnya transformasi pendidikan itu bisa dilaksanakan. Jadi ketika ingin agar siswa membuang sampah pada tempatnya, jadi kewajiban sekolah menyiapkan sarana tempat pembuangan sampah, misalnya begitu. Ketika kita ingin agar sampah itu direduksi, jangan terlalu banyak sampah, ya sekolah menyiapkan tempat air yang bisa didaur ulang, itu di recycle, jadi membuat botol apa itu namanya, tempat air, dan siswa tidak diperbolehkan membawa plastik botol di kelas. Itu antara lainnya. Empowering educators. Kita ini berbagai data menunjukkan bahwa training day per tahun itu relatif terbatas. Nah, ini juga tantangan bagaimana improving our teachers, karena guru juga perlu ditingkatkan kemampuannya. Perlu ditingkatkan pelatihannya, apakah itu pre-service training ataupun in-service training atau melalui learning by themselves. Jadi dia belajar sendiri saja. Belajarnya tidak harus sekolah, tapi dengan learning many sources, dengan menggunakan multimedia, dan saat ini terbuka untuk seperti itu ya. Saya tidak satu persatu, tapi di sini hybridity, flexibility ini menjadi bagian penting ya. Student central, central actors in learning ini menjadi penting juga. Jadi semua kebijakan di sekolah kalau ingin bermutu ya harus berpihak pada siswa. Oke, sekarang Sustainable Development Goal, tadi sudah saya ringgung sedikit bahwa quality of education ini memang menjadi target pemerintah, target bersama gitu ya, dan diterjemahkanlah oleh semua komponen termasuk dari Ministry of Education and Culture sampai pemerintah daerah sampai individual sekolah menerjemahkan. Jadi kalau bisa, tetapi di lain pihak kalau kita melihat bagaimana tujuan Sustainable Development Goal ini, saya pikir in every topic, in every 17 goals on sustainable goals ini ada berkaitan dengan has close relationship with education. Jadi bagaimana no poverty ini disampaikan kepada anak dan anak memiliki kepedulian yang hal tersebut. Bagaimana zero hunger ini penting, orang tua, guru, termasuk program pemerintah ke depan akan ada makan siang bersama, lunch together in school. Saya pikir penting untuk menjawab no zero hungers in Indonesia. Minimal kalau ada yang kurang makan siangnya sempurna di sekolah, kan kira-kira. Setuju Ibu dan Bapak? Mudah-mudahan masih bisa mendengar. Jadi ini ada close relationship-nya ya. Tentang misalnya contoh saja ini climate action. Ini nomor 13 tadi juga sudah disampaikan oleh Ibu Indri. Climate exchange ya. Climate action. Jadi bagaimana ini harus diterjemahkan di kelas. Nah, ini jangan-jangan banyak guru yang belum bisa. Di kampung saya ini bagaimana menerjemah climate change ini. Ya minimal ya menyampaikan kalian anak-anak jangan buang sampah sembarangan. Karena kalau buang sampah walaupun kamu di pegunungan, sampah itu akan mengalir jauh sampai akhirnya ke laut. Nah laut inilah makanya di sini ada ke-14 itu ada life below water. Dan menurut data, life below water ini, kehidupan di bawah laut, di bawah air, khususnya di laut ini justru tingkat kerusakannya itu paling banyak. Data-data menunjukkan banyak satwa, fauna, flora, laut itu yang hilang gitu ya, disappears dibanding dengan yang di darat. Nah ini kan prihatin. Jadi kalau tidak ada gerakan semua negara, laut akan semakin parah. Jadi jangan berpikiran saya mah di Lembang, ya Pak enggak ya. Jadi saya enggak ada kaitannya dengan laut. Iya, sampah dari Lembang itu akan ke laut juga akhirnya begitu. Ke Citarum juga akhirnya ke laut juga dan seterusnya. Itu. Tentang quality education ini salah satunya ensure inclusive and equitable quality education. and promote lifelong learning opportunity for all. Jadi kata kuncinya adalah pendidikan inklusi, terbuka untuk semua orang, termasuk orang yang berkebutuhan khusus, termasuk orang yang perlu pelayanan khusus, kelompok tertentu yang minoritas. Di beberapa negara gender juga masih isu penting, itu yang harus dilakukan. Di kita alhamdulillah laki perempuan punya kesempatan yang sama sekolah, tapi di beberapa negara ada yang menunjukkan bahwa women banyak yang illiterate rather than men gitu. Tetapi harus bermutu. Jadi tidak sekedar aksesibilitas, tapi harus bermutu. Nah ini tantangan bagaimana program-program kebijakan pendidikan termasuk di lembaga-lembaga kita secara mikro melakukan pembelajaran yang bermutu ya untuk promote lifelong learning. Ini jelas targetnya besarannya quality of education. Nah kalau kita lihat sub garapannya ini antara lain ini ya. Tahun 2030 semua anak men and women menyelesaikan pendidikan dasar dan menengah. Ini mengapa di Indonesia ada program wajar compulsory education 9 tahun ya sebetulnya ini menerjemahkan SDGs. Karena PBB, UNESCO juga bertanya sampai sejauh mana pemerintah Indonesia. Nah ini ada programnya. Ini program kita ini. Jadi the promise of government ini. Program Kemdikbud. Nanti kalau tidak tercapai Kapus Kurjar ditanya sama malaikat ini. Nah, termasuk kita juga ditanya sama malaikat, ini sudah sampai di mana? Anda sebagai guru, sebagai dosen, memprovokasi, gitu, melakukan ikhtiar-ikhtiar agar anak, semua yang ada generasi muda di Indonesia itu be able to have opportunity to study on basic education, pendidikan dasar, jadi compulsory education. Ini yang kedua sebagai contoh semua anak memiliki akses terhadap perkembangan dan pengasuhan anak usia dini. Ya ini juga PAUD, mengapa PAUD sekarang dikembangkan apakah itu formalnya ataupun non formalnya karena ini salah satu promise yaitu setiap desa ada aksesibilitas agar anak ini mendapatkan pengasuhan sehingga mereka mendapatkan siap untuk menempuh sekolah dasar. Jadi ini janji-janji yang sudah tertulis dalam dokumen dan setiap satuan pendidikan termasuk Puskurjar ini punya program-program untuk menerjemahkan ini. Contoh yang terakhir ini. Tahun 2030 menjamin semua peserta didik memperoleh pengetahuan dan keterampilan yang diperlukan termasuk antara lain hak asasi manusia, kesetaraan gender, promosi budaya damai, non kekerasan, kewargaan negaraan global, penghargaan terhadap keanekaragaman budaya dan kontribusi budaya terhadap pembangunan berkelanjutan. Jadi ini promise janji-janji ini dan diterjemahkanlah dalam program-program. Misalnya saja tentang hak asasi manusia. Jadi ada program hak asasi manusia, ada sosialisasi hak asasi manusia sehingga memang memberikan dampak. Seorang guru yang melakukan kegiatan agak sedikit tanda kutip melanggar, mendidik tapi dengan memukul ya kena HAM gitu. Kena hak asasi manusia karena anak tidak boleh dipukul. Nah ini juga memerlukan bagaimana guru memiliki pengetahuan dasar tentang hak asasi manusia. Baca undang-undang tentang hak asasi manusia misalnya. Jadi kesalahan kalau sampai memukul walaupun tidak lecet. Jadi kalau orang tuanya mengadukan ya dalam konteks ini karena mereka tahu haknya dan kewajibannya. Budaya damai, promosi budaya damai, non kekerasan. Nah ini program-program yang saat ini dilakukan di berbagai tingkat sesuai dengan kemampuannya gitu ya. Kewarganegaraan global, jadi global citizenship. Jadi bagaimana di sekolah-sekolah sudah disosialisasikan betapa pentingnya global citizenship dimiliki oleh anak-anak. Kendati anak-anak tinggal di rural area. Di kampung saya, di Sumedang, anak-anak ya memang sekolahnya itu satu etnisnya Sunda, satu agama, agamanya Islam, satu keturunan sama satu eyang. Jadi apa itu keturunannya sama. Tetapi one day dia akan tidak tinggal di situ. Dia akan pergi ke kota, dia akan ke kota besar atau mungkin ke mancanegara. Jadi kalau tidak dibekali dengan tadi global citizenship, jadi seolah-olah etnis tempat dia ada menjadi the best etnis seolah-olah. Orang Batak yang disebut best etnisnya ya bahasa etnis Batak. Tapi kalau diberi pengetahuan awal tentang berbagai etnis sehingga saling harga menghargai. Saya pikir itu ya. Nah, tentang policy. Alhamdulillah saat ini kita menyaksikan betul bahwa Merdeka Belajar itu secara formal Pak Profesor Asep Heri, welcome to our class. Terima kasih. Mohon izin melanjutkan itu ya. Nah ini tentang Merdeka Belajar. Jadi kita menyaksikan bahwa alhamdulillah Kemendikbudristek telah resmi meluncurkan platform Merdeka Mengajar. Ini setahun yang lalu kira-kira ya, platform Merdeka Belajar itu. Kemudian dan kalau tidak salah I have heard ketika ada official meeting antara Menteri, the Ministry of Education and Culture with Legislative DPR. Beliau ini menggarisbawahi amanat amanatnya itu titip gitu ya, titip Merdeka Belajar. Nah, saya pikir ini juga forum ini juga dalam rangka kita bagaimana merencanakan dan mengawal Merdeka Belajar itu, karena Merdeka Belajar kalau toh nanti ada perubahan-perubahan ya kurikulum ini kan berubah. Tapi sebelum ada perubahan formal ya kita lakukan policy yang ada ini. Saya ingin menggarisbawahi apa yang dikatakan Mas Menteri ini. Guru yang baik, best teachers ya adalah guru yang tidak pernah berhenti belajar. Guru yang never stop learning. Jadi dia itu belajar terus-menerus, belajar sepanjang hayat. Long life learners gitu. Termasuk kita semua yang hadir di sini. Termasuk dosen. Kendati termasuk saya berupaya untuk belajar terus kendati sudah jadi profesor emeritus. Saya ingin belajar terus supaya karena ini long life learners dan berinovasi. Jadi inovasi ini memang perubahan, tapi perubahan yang membuat manfaat. Jadi mari di kelas kita, di komunitas kita ada inovasi-inovasi mengajar, membimbing, tidak learning atau teaching as usual. Asal datang saja. Tidak, tapi harus extraordinary effort. Makanya sekarang ini luring ataupun daring dalam kondisi seperti ini saya melihat ini equal, memiliki equal opportunity for improving teaching learning activities. Jadi kalau ada orang atau pemimpin kebijakan pendidikan yang menyebut lebih baik pertemuan tatap muka ketimbang ketimbang dalam jaringan. Tatap muka pun kalau tidak disiapkan dengan matang ya tidak akan baik gitu. Tapi terpenuhi administratifnya, terpenuhi dosennya hadir, gurunya hadir, tapi kehadirannya itu tidak optimum gitu. Jadi mari kita luring atau daring atau hybrid teaching learning activities itu poinnya adalah dengan ciri berbasis mutu kira-kira. Jadi quality itu menjadi rujukan. Jadi bagaimana kita melaksanakan pembelajaran secara daring, secara bermutu. Luring juga secara bermutu dan Ibu dan Bapak melakukan effort yang saya pikir ini penting bagi kita untuk kita laksanakan. Seperti itu ya. Ini secara regulasinya education policy concerning with kurikulum Merdeka ini dengan Peraturan Menteri Nomor 47 Tahun 2023. Jadi silakan baca, silakan pelajari. Bagi student mahasiswa yang belum punya Peraturan Mendikbudristek nomor 47 ya tinggal buka, upload, pelajari. Karena di situ ada bagaimana kurikulum merdeka di PAUD, di SD, di SMP, di SMA, SMK gitu ya. Ini educational policy yang saya kutip dari UNESCO. Jadi ingin menunjukkan juga bahwa secara global UNESCO juga sangat peduli tentang betapa pentingnya educational policy yang mungkin bisa diadopt oleh individual nation, ya, anggota-anggota PBB ini ya. Saya lewat-lewat saja, masih banyak waktunya, habis? Oke ya, saya lewat-lewat saja. Nah sekarang yang berkaitan dengan riset di bidang kurikulum ini penting ini. Saya pikir ya tentang apa itu riset, mungkin bisa kita, ini type of riset ini 1 semester nih, kalau di Kurtekpen ini, atau lebih malah 2 semester ya. Tapi poinnya adalah saya ingin mengatakan begini, bahwa saat ini melalui educational national standard ini, sejumlah standar kita sudah buatkan. Jadi Permendikbud Ristek 53 2023 itu tentang standar kompetensi, standar nasional pendidikan. Jadi in term of policy of regulation itu sudah ada semua. Tinggal bagaimana how to implement this standard agar tercapai tadi mutu pendidikan ini, gitu ya. Oke. Nah, current issues on Merdeka Kurikulum saya kutip dari berbagai pertemuan di Puskurjar, ini ada 18. Jadi inilah yang mungkin menjadi lahan riset kita, riset secara mikro ataupun secara makro. Riset mikro itu kecil-kecilan di kelas lah gitu ya. Di sekolah kita, di tempat kita mengajar. Misalnya saya ingin tentang asesmen awal, misalnya diagnostik. Bagaimana di kelas saya? Teman-teman bisa membuat small scale research tentang how diagnostic assessment itu disiapkan dan dilaksanakan. Kemudian dilihat apa yang harus dilakukan. Instrumen apa? Ya instrumennya juga sederhana karena mungkin tidak perlu tertulis, lisan saja. Tapi kita adopt, kita bisa ketahui bahwa oh ini siswa saya ada 20 orang, 10 orang lelet, 10 orang lagi fast learners. Nah apa perlakuan kita? Itu antara lain pentingnya diagnostic assessment. Atau nomor 17 misalnya, platform Merdeka Mengajar. Nah, kalau ada yang senang, ada yang ingin meneliti platform Merdeka Mengajar, pemerintah punya kebijakannya, punya polisinya, tinggal diadopt, tinggal dibuka di internet, di Google Form atau di Google yang bisa diakses tentang platform PMM ini. Apa manfaatnya, apa yang harus dilakukan guru, termasuk ketika guru ingin meningkatkan kualifikasinya. Sampai pada bagaimana guru ingin mendapatkan bahan ajar untuk diajarkan di kelasnya masing-masing. Saya pikir itu Ibu dan Bapak, terima kasih atas kesediaan mendengar short discussion atau short topic concerning with hot issues atau concerning with apa ini yang trend issues on curriculum and policy and research for sustainable development goal. Thank you very much. Mohon maaf kalau ada hal yang kurang berkenan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Baik, terima kasih. Thank you very much, Prof. Dinn Wahyudin. Langsung saja mungkin karena sesinya juga sudah mulai agak larut, mungkin satu pertanyaan berkualitas dari teman-teman bisa disampaikan untuk Bu Indri atau untuk Prof. Dinn sekaligus. Mind to raise your hand, please. Ada? Oh, di sini ternyata. Oh, yang itu. Boleh. Yang sana dulu ya, Mas. Silakan, Pak.
Baik, terima. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. My name is Eero Maromansah, but I'm sorry my English is very bad. My accent
is good.
Javan English. Daripada saya nanti salah kaprah, lebih baik saya menggunakan bahasa Indonesia saja.
Lovely, thank you. Silakan, Mas.
Bukan yang tidak bisa, teman aksennya itu Javan English, Pak. Baik, Prof, izinkan saya bertanya terkait dengan pemaparan materinya Prof Dinn tadi. Saya ingin tertarik ingin mengetahui bagaimana sih Prof sebetulnya terkait dengan kan banyak kurikulum yang baru, ada green kurikulum, blue kurikulum, tetapi semuanya tentu saja itu memiliki paradigma yang berbeda. Paradigma pembelajaran green kurikulum maupun dengan blue kurikulum tentu saja juga berbeda. Nah, bagaimana tipsnya atau pendapat Prof Dinn jika itu nanti dikawinkan dengan kurikulum merdeka yang ada saat ini, apakah paradigmanya bertentangan ataukah dapat menghasilkan sebuah paradigma yang memiliki identitas khusus dan malah menjadi suatu hal yang baru. Terima kasih.
Baik, terima kasih. Itu langsung untuk Prof Dinn ya. Masih nyambung dengan Prof Dinn atau untuk Bu Indri?
Bu Indri.
Oh ya, sekaligus langsung untuk Bu Indri, silakan Mas.
Bu sampingan ya. Baik, terima kasih. Bu Indri masih ada?
Bu Indri masih ada ya, Bu? Mohon izin.
Ya.
Masih ya? Masih, Mas.
Ya,
Mas
Bu Indri,
Fajar.
apa kabar Bu Indri? Masih ingat saya? Ya.
Silakan.
Alhamdulillah baik.
Ya, Bu Indri, tadi menarik ya berkaitan dengan